Okay. We're good to go. What's today? Wednesday? Oh, my back. So I've been wondering how and why somebody might be calling to talk to you. Because they think they're smarter than they actually are. So they call in, and then when I prove that they're not, they get embarrassed. Ignore my shitty handwriting. This song reminds me of white Christian worship music. There's so much music that when you listen to it, it just sounds like worship music. Basically, every song written by Pascal and Paul sounds like worship music. It's crazy how much Dear Evan Hansen sounds like a worship song. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. It's literally a worship song. Giving my girlfriend and I a lot of hope core while watching TikToks. Oh, well, that's dope. I'm glad. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. What's even worse is there's oh my gosh, I wonder if I can find the cover. Some people did like this pop cover to it. And it's so fucking bro, it sounds just like Christian worship music. It's so bad. Hold on, I think I can find it. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. Here it is. Who is it by? Natalie Grant. Yeah. Let me see if I can find this. R.I.P. to this Natalie Grant person, but you sound like your songs. You made it sound like worship music. Listen. This is worship music. This is worship music, bro. Like, yes, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So weird. And okay, enough of that. She is a worship artist? Well, that explains it. Were you in bar chat last night? Don't know what that is. And no, I was playing God of War all night. Think I'll be going on the line at the end of the month. Any advice? Who you going on? Well, you probably can't say, but kick ass. That's the advice. Kick some ass. That being said, do you guys think there's any good worship? Do you think there's such like good worship music seems like an oxymoron, you know? I also think it's been long enough since someone tried to dox me that I might be able to open up my Discord again. I'm thinking it might be time. Black atheist rants. Never heard of them. Should I write that down? Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you. Are you gonna play Silk Song? I've never played Hollow Knight, so I should probably play that first. Ruben Studdard made some good worship music. Rascal Flatts. Jovan, is it copyright free to sample you singing and implement it in my own tracks? Yeah, as long as you tag me, yeah. Go nuts. I'm waiting. I haven't hit the phase, and I'm wondering if it's because I clip myself so often. I haven't hit the phase where people like to clip me, or like I be getting fan cams. I haven't hit that phase, and I'm just wondering if it's because I clip myself so often, or it's because you hate me. I don't remember. I don't know which one. Hello, are you here to debate?
Hi. Yeah.
Okay. What's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
My name is Mila. I'm 32, and what was the other one?
Your pronouns.
Oh, she, her.
And did you say Neela or Mila?
I heard the same thing twice, but Mila, M like Mary, I-L-A. So Mila.
Okay. And what topic on the board did you want to debate about?
Trans women.
Okay, what about them?
Biological sex determination.
Okay, what would biological sex determination have to do with trans women?
Basically, like I mean, like, you want the whole prompt right now? Is this a screener, or am I like on right now?
No, you're on.
Oh God. Okay. Hi. Well, in that case, what that has to do with, I wanted to make I wanted to debate the point that like trans women are women because they say they're women. I would say biology would determine if you are a woman or not. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what's the biological necessary condition to be a woman?
I would say having a dominant morphological alignment with the biology that is oriented around the production of large gametes.
Okay, so you said a dominant morphological alignment of having the biology. So the biology necessary to be a woman is to have the biology of a female, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I would define female biology as biology that's like designed to support the production of large gametes. So even if you don't produce large gametes, you know, you're still, you know, things like breast development, you know, immunoprofiles, all these things
wouldn't be the thing that aligns with large gametes, because you don't need breast development to have large gametes.
No, but you know, what I mean is, like, from an evolutionary biology perspective, like they support the production of large gametes.
How does breast development support the production of large gametes?
For instance, like the mammary ducts and the nipples of like female breasts, like, aid in the reproductive strategy of the sex that carries the large gametes because they produce milk.
Mammary ducts are in male breast tissue as well, so I'm confused. So would males also have the alignment for large gametes because they have all of those things as well? Male breasts can also produce nutritious breast milk as well. So
I believe that's only if they have like high estrogen levels, right? I mean, that isn't a normal like developmental pattern. That would be like
well, it wouldn't matter if it was typical, because I'm asking you for a necessary condition. So that would mean it's got to be something with zero exceptions. So this would be this would be
totally.
an exception.
I mean, well, and again, I wouldn't say, I would say they're no longer male at that point. I mean, I guess it kind of depends. They're no longer like an endosexual male, is what I would say. Like, endosexual meaning like fully aligned with male biology. Like, they would have some female traits, is kind of my point.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking for you've made a claim here that woman as a category is an exclusionary category, which means we need to have some sort of necessary condition to fit into that category. So I'm just looking for what that is.
Well,
and you're hold on, I just want to go
through
the definition
I gave.
Yeah, I want to go through to make sure I have this correctly. You basically said it's having the body structure that's ordered towards creating large gametes. Is this correct?
What I said was it's dominantly structured around that. So it doesn't mean you have to be like an endosexual female, meaning full alignment of like female typical sex traits. It just means it would have to be dominantly oriented around that.
Okay, and how do you make the determination about whether it's dominantly structured that way? Is there a percentage of traits you must meet? Is there...
Yeah, I would say like 51%. I mean, like, essentially you would like graph all of the different traits that are sex differentiated, you know, like between male and females. I mean, human males and females aren't that sexually dimorphic compared to other species where like the sex differences are huge. So we're already starting with like a small enough, you know, difference in, you know, in our species, there's already a much smaller difference between men and women. But you would basically, like, let's say, I mean, it's up to interpretation. There would be multiple ways to do it, but I would say, like, it's basically when your biology is more similar to female biology than male biology.
Okay, but the problem is you're so now we have to ask a different question: is what's the necessary condition to be female? So if your body has to be more similar to females, what are the traits that are necessary in order to possess to be female? What are those specific traits?
So sure. No, great question. Let me clarify. When I say, so I should say is more similar to an endosexual female than an endosexual male, and the necessary condition to be an endosexual female is to have a complete alignment of all sex-differentiated traits in the female direction.
Okay, so you're saying more similar to the female side of the bimodal spectrum than the male side of the bimodal spectrum.
Exactly.
Okay, totally fine. If that's what I would agree. Actually, I would say that is a good gauge of what is necessary to be female. Now, the next question I have is, you're saying that this is going to determine your gender, correct?
No, I mean, I would say, like, it would determine your sex. Like, I would.
Well, you said in order to be a woman, you must be female, and in order to be female, you would you have to fall on the endosexual line of female, which would be basically going all the way to the female side of the spectrum. So how would this not be a determinant of gender per your views?
Sorry, no, you're right. I mean, I guess when I say, sorry, there's so many different words to describe similar things. I got a little bit confused. I would say, like, to be a female, that would be the case, not to be, like, I mean, what is a woman, right? Like, we could define it as, like, we could say biology determines it. We could say it's a social category.
Well, you said biology determines it, right? I'm just going off of what your claim was. Your claim was that biological essentialism is basically what makes you a woman. So trans women wouldn't be women because they don't meet this biological marker. But now you're saying, you know, it's not necessarily biology that makes you a woman. So I'm just confused what the argument is then.
I'm sorry. Let me try to clarify. I've definitely I definitely misspoke. I think when the line of questioning started, it started with, like, how does sex determination happen, and or like, what does sex determination have to do with being a woman? And then I think I conflated woman and female, and so I probably said woman. I guess I was talking more so about female. Like, I would say biology determines if you're male or female.
Okay, well, I'm just confused what would be the point of the argument, because I'm not talking about females when I have the point on the board that trans women are women.
So my argument would be that, like, certain biological my point is saying that like trans women wouldn't be women because they say that they're women. They're women because they actually are aligned with female biology, and they reach that threshold that crosses them into
so
more aligned with.
You're purporting transmedicalism, that the only way to be trans is to medically transition, and if you do not, or the only way to be a trans woman, to be a woman, is to medically transition, and if you do not medically transition, then you wouldn't be classified as a woman.
No, because I would still say that someone who would, let's say, be more accurately described as a biological male might still be entitled to the legal classification or the social classification of a woman, like, from like a pronoun and like legal category kind of thing. This is why I think that this, it's an argument or a debate, is like I believe in both. Like I believe two things. Like one being that like belief A is that like being a woman isn't contingent on your biology, but B also that some trans women actually are more accurately described as biological females, at least a variation of biological females. And that is also what makes them a woman, in the sense that like it's not up for debate, just like it wouldn't be up for debate if, a woman with small breasts, let's say, like that breast size isn't considered a categorical necessary condition for being classified as a biological female. So nobody disputes that. I would say
my only contention would be we don't have based on the 2 points you just labeled, we don't have a disagreement here. I believe that being a woman isn't tied strictly to biology, and that some trans women would be classified as female, especially phenotypically, especially if they've induced specific intersex conditions within themselves. So I just don't know what the debate is. It seems that we agree. If those are your two positions, I agree with both of those positions.
Oh, I thought we would disagree on the biological women are, or let's say that like trans women are biological females. Because like what I always hear is that like like trans women are biologically male, and like and like I would admit like some trans women probably are biological male. Like,
well, I would just determine. I would just say it's based on whether you're talking about genotypic sex or phenotypic sex. Genotypically, I'd say most people are probably going to be genotypically male or female, but like phenotypically, because phenotypic sex is so varied, I don't really think that I would make that claim.
So that's kind of an oversimplification, in the sense that genotypically, all human beings are genotypically intersex. Like that we all have the genes to build testes and ovaries and a vagina and a penis, and like half of all of our chromosomes come from a male and female. So there's no one is genotypically male or female. We're all, and phenotypically, like some phenotypes, yes, like trans women in hormone therapy can, but for instance, like the phenotype for your skeletal structure, like if you go through male puberty, your skeleton doesn't become phenotypically female. It remains phenotypically male. But overall, I would say you're more dominantly phenotypically female if you medically transition as a trans woman. So I know I'm nuanced policing, but it's just, for the sake of like being biologically medically accurate, like it's not.
Sure. When I say genotypic, I'm just basing it off of typical chromosome distribution. At least that's what I have in like when I read like my neuroscience textbooks, right? They label it genotypic in that vein. So that's all I would be talking about, genotypic. Like if your karyotype as, for example, a pure 46 XY karyotyping, that's where the genotypic side would come into it.
But the genotypic, see, that's the other misunderstanding with the karyotyping, right? Because like, for instance, a woman with Turner syndrome like has the genotype that she has one X chromosome and she can give birth 12% of the time, and she has the same she has as much genetic material as a woman that gives birth as every single biological male with XY chromosomes. So like, again, it's a misunderstanding of how like the sex chromosomes are only really relevant to the degree that they have the SRY gene, and even then there are people that are genotypically have the SRY gene and still they have androgen insensitivity syndrome or something, and they end up developing as a female because, again, all the genes necessary for female biology exist within the genotype of every single biological male, and the same thing the other way around.
Yeah, I don't disagree that we use genotypic in like simple terms, right? Like I said, the way I use genotypic just comes from a neuroscience textbook, and the way that it's described in there is genotypic is just like chromosome distribution, right? I think when we're talking about like genotypic sex and we want to have the conversation on like a deeper level of biology, I think it's fine. I just think like most people aren't going to be able to have the conversation at that level because they don't even have like the base level understanding of it, right? But either
you're right. I'm sorry.
No. But either way, it like I said, if your two positions are that being a woman does not equate to biology, like you don't need to have the any sort of biological makeup to be a woman, and position number two is that trans women can be female, then yeah, I don't disagree with either of those two positions.
Okay, I guess I thought we would disagree on the trans women being female part. I typically hear the that like it's not helpful, or that there's no utility to just I mean, because I will often get called a transmedicalist for saying that, like, you know, like I'll say something along the lines of like, hey, I'm not a woman because I say that I'm a woman. I'm a woman because that's the that's the biological reality of my developmental outcome, like as a human being. And
I think what happens is that when some people hear this, what they're hearing is a level of because I heard it too until you clarified what it comes off as in order for a trans woman to be trans, they have to transition. That's what it comes off as when you start the conversation. So I would just always preface the conversation with those first 2 points you said to me, which is being a woman is not inherently tied to any sort of biology, and some trans women can be female based upon, a litany of factors, and then that will clear up the transmedical, because those two stances are not transmedicalist.
Well, because I'm not saying like I'm not saying you, like, even if I'm saying I'm not a woman because I'm not a woman because I say I'm a woman. I'm not saying no one can be a woman because they say they're a woman. I'm just saying, in my particular case, like, it has to do with my biological development.
Yeah, and if people understand anything at least about the way I define women, that would be fine. You would still fit under the category of woman as per the way that I define woman, because your schema around what it means to be a woman and what it means to be female would be tied to some level of biology, and which is fine as long as you're not saying for other people that theirs has to be.
No, I wouldn't be saying that, but I guess I would be saying that perhaps in certain contexts, and I don't know if this is like something we would debate on, but I would say in certain contexts, sex is more relevant when it comes to like segregating categories as opposed to like identity or gender. And I would assume, like, for instance, would you say that you agree with the like for trans women in sports, let's say, like, do you agree that like for certain sports, like being on hormone therapy for a certain period of time, like, should be a requirement in, let's say, something like track and field, like for a trans woman to compete with other women, it would be necessary that she undergoes like testosterone, like repressing hormones, testosterone repressing medication, and like female hormones.
As per the way sports are currently, I don't mind that, like, we have specific requirements in sports. I don't really mind it. What ought be, in my opinion, though, is we just ought not separate sport by gender and just have specific. We just have different leagues, so you can have League A, League B, and League C, and whoever can compete in those leagues can compete in them, and then it's not really an issue.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one way to do it. I mean I think that'd be an interesting idea to explore. I just mean like, I mean let's say in the current framework that we have, where like we do have male divisions and female divisions. If someone who was like, let's say, went through male puberty wanted to compete in a division, would you say it's reasonable to like say, okay, well, sexually, like from biologically, they would have to align with certain female sex characteristics in order to compete with other.
I'm not going to specifically say that it's reasonable. I don't mind it, but I'm going to say if we have, like, for example, a cisgender woman who just has a body that's natural, that's just by some whatever it is, their body naturally can basically went through a puberty similar to that of a male body, so they naturally build muscle more. They naturally have a larger frame. They naturally have broader shoulders. They might even naturally have testosterone levels that are more similar to like a male's testosterone levels. The issue becomes now they would have to be barred from competing because they would meet all of those. Like they would essentially be forced into taking feminizing hormones, because the reason we're saying that a trans woman must transition to a certain degree to compete is some level of fairness, because of some what people call like biological biological advantages. If I have somebody with those biological advantages that's not trans, like what do we do about that person? And if the answer is nothing, they can just compete. Well, then it's not actually about the biological advantages.
But see, that's not always the case, though, because there are actually a lot of instances, like both in the Olympics with track, with powerlifting, where people born with uteruses and ovaries, like, you know, indisputably biologically female, who have elevated testosterone levels, either because of hyperactive adrenal glands or like whatever, like they actually are barred from competing because they're intersex or because like they have a biological advantage for one reason or another. So they're
if the rule is across the board, I'm gonna care about the rule a little bit less. But again, I just think it's sports. It's who can do X task the best. Like I don't really care if somebody has an advantage.
I mean, but then by that logic, couldn't we just like end all? Oh, I guess that is your position, end all segregation.
I don't necessarily see the point of segregating sports by sex. I think in fighting sports, we just do it by weight class, and I think that's fine. I think in like head-on competitive sports, I just think whoever's the best should be going up against the best. And then when it comes to team sports, it's a team sport. I really don't.
But testosterone certainly does add and I'm not saying like men inherently have an advantage or women have an inherent advantage, but like testosterone as a like hormone like interacts with like muscle tissue. It changes the composition of muscle tissue. For instance, I would say like a trans man who like goes on like male hormones like would definitely have an advantage competing with like a cis woman who's never had testosterone in her system. Like wouldn't you agree that like I
wouldn't say it 100% of the time. So because I can't make a 100% rule, I can say typically maybe, right? Like typically it is probably the case that somebody who's been through masculinizing puberty will probably be able to compete at a higher level in certain areas than somebody who hasn't, just because of the effects of that puberty. But again, then if I'm looking at it, I have to now say, okay, well, if we have a cisgender man who has an excess level of testosterone because of no fault of their own, right? Do we have to now bar them from competing or force them to take whatever they have to take to lower those levels? Do we have to look at someone like Michael Phelps, whose body is just designed to be good at swimming, and say, well, no, I'm sorry, Michael Phelps, because typically we don't see people with a body like this. It's not fair of you to compete against these other people, right? It just again, if sports to me aren't about fairness, as long as nobody's like I don't know, artificially doping with steroids, I don't really give a shit. And even then, part of me is like, let them dope as much as they want, and then let me see who can hit the ball the farthest.
No, I understand, and I'm definitely thinking of this more from like a like controlled, like changing one independent variable, like all things equal, like hours of practice, like body shape, like if you could, I don't know, clone a person and then just have one clone. Obviously, I know this isn't possible. I'm just saying, like, if you like cloned a person and one took testosterone, one didn't take testosterone. The one with testosterone isolated as an independent variable or as a dependent variable would have the impact of giving the advantage. But obviously, there's more factors than just hormone levels, like you said, like Michael Phelps.
I just like I said, I just don't. I don't really care, That's really all. So all it boils down to.
Are there any categories like any like male, like men, women categories that you think sex might be more relevant when it comes to the function of like the space than identity or gender?
Only medically. Like if you're going to the doctors and the doctor needs to know that you're, but even then I would say it's less that your doctor needs to know whether you're male or female, and they just need to know, like, should probably know that you're transgender, so they know that if you're taking anything, like they should know what like medication you're on, things like that. That would really be the only time that I see the need for a difference. But even then, it's not a difference of separation. It's just a difference of individualized care.
I would agree with that. Like, as far as like, it's not important for them to know that you're like, it's more important for them to just know what the state of your biology is and your developmental history, which could be the case for being intersex or like trans or having PCOS or something. But let's say like something like prison. Do you think like in that context, like or like let's say like like a prison. Do you think in that context, like sex might have like more of a sway or like have more impact than like the social like identity?
No, because component? If we look at like trans women, they face way more violence if they go into men's prisons than if they're in women's prisons. So
of course. I mean, but that's my point, right? It's like, for instance, like a trans woman who like, let's say, goes on hormones and like starts to appear more feminine, like, and let's say has bottom surgery, has the same anatomy, that can be assaulted as like a cisgender woman, like she would be much more vulnerable in a like male prison than, let's say, a trans woman that I guess could boy mode or like never went through any medical transition process, like could basically like just not tell anyone in prison that they're trans, and then I guess my point is that like the sex differences in the medical transition process of the trans woman that like undergoes medical transition, I'm not saying that makes her more of a woman. I'm just saying like the female sex characteristics she develops as a result of medical transition would put her at a disproportionate risk of violence in a men's prison than, let's say, a trans woman who like doesn't medical transition and is biologically like male aligned, like endosexual male for all intents and purposes.
I can acknowledge that like somebody who can fake and pass as a typical man will probably risk less violence in a male prison, but like they're still at risk for that violence. They might be less at risk, but they're still at risk. So no, I wouldn't want to say that they should now go into a male's prison because they might be able to like fake pass as a man. No, I would still want to put them in the prison of which they align. Obviously, if somebody has a history of sexual violence against another type of group, I don't think they should be in prison with that group. So, but this is across the board. If I have a cisgender man who went to prison because he consistently rapes other cisgender men, I don't think he should be in prison with cisgender men because they're a group that he puts at risk.
That I can definitely agree with. I do think it's like really fucked up the way society like treats male sexual assault in prison as like a joke or a punchline. And I'm not saying that like I think I'm not saying that like the trans woman that like medically transitions is like again more of a woman or more of whatever. I just mean that like because of the for instance, this is like where I would say it's like no longer a matter of debate. Is like, for instance, if a trans woman goes through the medical transition process, she no longer passes as male to any extent. She has a vagina. She has like breasts. Like there is even more of a reason to say, well, even if she does have a history of sexual violence, like she should be treated like any other biological female who has a history of sexual violence and be, like you can't put someone who's biologically female in a men's prison. You can't like, it's not because she says she's a woman. It's because she is, she belongs in the category of other people who share her biological development as far as like, the medical outcome is concerned. So like in that context, my point in saying that like some categories are like maybe more sex relevant as opposed to like social identity relevant or self-ID relevant.
But you're not making, in my opinion, you're not making a case for sexual relevance. The only case that I'm seeing here would be that people who commit sex crimes should be separated from people that they commit sex crimes against. And then that solves all the issues. That literally solves the problem.
But then wouldn't the... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that would solve the issue.
I mean, like in a perfect world, I could totally see how that solves the issue. But I mean, like in a world like under current legislation, where like, basically like in America, they say that like sex is determined by like your chromosomes at birth or whatever, and no amount of medical transition changes the fact that you are a biological male and you belong in a biological male prison.
This isn't a perfect world though. This is just, like this would take us no time at all to literally say, hey, let's take prisoners who commit sex crimes and let's make sure they don't go with the population they commit those crimes against. And then bada bing, bada boom. Now what is our issue about trans women being in like a woman's prison? There wouldn't be any.
No, because the trans women would be getting sent to a men's prison. That's what I'm saying. Like under our current, like in our imperfect world that we have right now, the trans woman is getting sent to a men's prison.
Sure. That's just a different conversation. I would just say because trans women are women, they should go to women's prisons. Point blank, period. There I don't need no other reasons other than they fit that category. They fit the category of woman. So therefore they should go to women's prisons.
What about like, let's say like a women's only like spa where like there's like a nudity section where women can get like unclothed? Would you say that like sex alignment might matter to an extent in that,
no, because you shouldn't be looking at the other person naked. Keep your eye forward.
I would say that's maybe where I would have a little bit of like compassion. Again, not to say that all trans women should be inherently excluded, but that like maybe some degree of sexual alignment might be necessary in that context, since it's women wanting to be around people that are like morphologically similar to them as far as like.
I would just say if you have an issue with somebody being naked and you don't want to see specific people naked or whatever, then you should take it upon yourself to go to an individual changing room so that because you are the person with the issue, right? So we go to an individual room where you don't have to change in front of somebody else.
I mean more so like a spa where like people are like lounging and like going into the.
You shouldn't be seeing people's genitals in the spa. So I don't.
So there shouldn't be like nude spas, like.
I mean, if there's a nude spa, there's a nude spa. You're going to see nudity at that point. If there's no rules on the door that says a sign on the door that says you won't see a penis, you might see a penis.
Well, but that's, and I'm not just bringing up this example randomly, because I remember this was like one of the big things that like happened in 2021 in LA was this like nude spa where there was like a women's only section, and there was someone who identified as a woman, but like still had like male anatomy, and the policy was, a certain way, and that became very, kind of.
Yeah, but you said it there. It's a woman's only section. So because trans women are women, they're allowed in that section. So sometimes you might see penis in a woman's only section. So, I don't know what to tell you.
Hence why I'm asking the question, do you think that there is certain contexts in which being a woman, being defined as a woman or a man might be more relevantly defined as, sorry, let me just find the right wording, because I don't want to misrepresent. I don't want to say something that like represents something I don't believe. I wouldn't say that like a trans woman who doesn't medically transition is any less of a woman than, let's say, like a woman who completely passes, or a trans woman who completely passes. I would, however, say that maybe if you don't go through the medical transition process, then maybe there are certain categories in which your sex differences might be relevant whenever it comes to like which space you belong in. That's why I brought up, like, for instance, the sports thing, because I was like, well, for instance, like, if you're doing track, like, you would have to, like, medically transition in order to be competing in, like, a women's division, which, like, typically, in my experience, most trans people agree with. And, like, for something
I'll just answer, and then I do have to move on to the next caller. Now, I think if you're going to a nude spa, expect to see nudity. I don't think you now get to determine who that spa lets in, how that spa separates people on the basis of gender. It's on you, if you have something where you're uncomfortable, for you to verify what you will see. And if you don't verify what you will see, you can't demonize trans, not saying you are, but you can't demonize trans people or even demonize the establishment because you didn't take it upon yourself to do your research on what is going on in this place. If you don't think trans women are women and you don't want to see trans women in your space and you're going to a public space where they are allowed, that's on you. That's it's not on the trans people anymore. That's a you issue. But I do need to move on now to the next person. So
totally. And do you mind if I just say one more thing before I get to wrap it up?
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I do think that's a fair perspective, and I do think it applies in most contexts, for instance, like bathrooms and stuff like that. And to be honest, I since now I see that we like basically agree on those things, like I am kind of trying to focus on where I think we might have some disagreement. But thank you for listening. It was nice to talk to you.
Yep, you have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Everybody say W to Jax. Sorry, I didn't see that at first, Jax. I didn't have my phone like facing upward, so I didn't see the I'm gonna bring back the thank you note. So Jax, thank you. And let me sign that for you. There's my little signature. So thank you, Jax. If you also send a tip on Cash App or Venmo, I'll write a thank you note for you too. Just a little thank you for the tip. If we do hit our goals today, remember we have new merch in the merch store. So, hello? Oh, there it goes. I was like, did my fucking thing just die? Hi, Katie. I didn't see you. Sorry. Do you guys like my signature? So I'm doing it like this. Wait, not like that. That's disgusting. Don't look at that one. So it's basically a J and a B, and then the cat ears, and then that makes the little cat tail. I think it's good. Why do you think people never bring up trans men? Because I think fundamentally trans women just sort of get a brunt on two sides. Side number one is from cisgender men who are either A, attracted to them, or B, afraid of their own feelings towards their gender. And then you have cisgender women. They get it from what the fuck? They get it from cisgender women as well. And I think it's because they I don't know how I want to phrase this one, but it's almost like they feel, not that they are, but they feel that they're a threat to their femininity, and B, they feel they're a threat to their status. So a lot of cisgender women will ride or die for the patriarchy or misogyny because they feel like it protects them. And then trans women basically threaten in their minds that protection, even though it's a protection they never had. A really good book about this is, what is it? A Brief History of Transmisogyny. We read it once for book club. I need to bring book club back. A Short History of Transmisogyny. So it's this book here. Oh, that's not right. What the fuck happened to my sources? Hold on. Sources. Where are the sources? Where are my sources? Sources. Here we go. This one? Nope. That's a YouTube chat. So then this one? Nope, that's phone numbers. So then this one. So this one. A Short History of Transmisogyny. So this is a really good book. This goes into this a little bit. So I would check this out if you want some information on that, on like the reason for transmisogyny. But yeah, those are the other. Another one when it comes to cisgender men is cisgender men. You have to remember that a lot of cisgender men, their entire identities are tied into the fact that they are men. Like they so connect their whole identity to the thought of being a man and to masculinity as a whole, and nothing threatens that masculinity like someone who's willing to throw away their masculinity. In their mind, that's what they're doing. In their mind, trans women are throwing away their masculinity. So nothing is a bigger threat to you as somebody who values masculinity than somebody who's willing to ditch theirs. So that would be some information on where I think those are coming from. Anyway. Let's open back up the call-in line so we can see if we can't get some more debates. Hello, are you here to debate? Hello?
One moment, please. Sorry. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, are you here to debate?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was walking out. Very nice to meet you. First time caller. Moderately a long time listener, but respect you a lot.
Okay. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Sure thing. You can call me Ram. My age is 23, and he, him.
Okay, Ram, and what topic on the board did you want to debate about?
So I wanted to discuss what you have on the board as God and him being considered evil and then not existing.
Okay.
Now, just real quick to preface, I do only have 30 minutes, and I can't see it by the clock right now. So if you could let me know when it gets to like 29 minutes in the conversation, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous. This is my first time calling to do something like this before, so I'm a little nervous and excited.
That's fine. Do you disagree with the prompt that if he exists, the Christian God would be evil?
I do disagree.
Okay.
Well, I guess moderately. I'd have to explain my perspective on it a little bit more.
Okay, go ahead.
So to preface this conversation off, can we start off with, can we both agree that and when I say this, I guess this applies to like all major religions, not just Christianity, right? But religion as a concept as we know it exists to function on the grounds for mostly two different reasons, and that'd be A, to kind of exist as a moral compass for people that usually boils down to do right by others and kind of uplift your community. Can we agree on that?
I can agree that people view religion that way.
Okay. And then can we also agree that the second part would be to kind of function as a sort of solace for individuals who fear the, the oblivion that is death or, the unknown? Because as humans, we don't know what happens after death.
Sure, I can agree that
so
some people use it that way, sure.
Okay, so in that context, I would like to propose that God is not evil because God as a concept exists. Sorry, I had this whole thing planned out, but I don't. Now I'm kind of nervous.
Well, I do just want to say that it seems like what you're saying right now seems like it wouldn't contend with the actual prompt, which is specifically if the Christian God is evil.
Well, yeah, and I'm referring to Christianity in these concepts.
Okay, but if the Christian God is real, which would mean everything in the Bible is real, then he would indeed be an evil being because of the actions he partakes in.
Okay, and to that extent, I'm going to say that I guess that's another point that we kind of disagree on, and that is that in Christianity, well, in terms of religion, right, in this preference, I'm referring to Christianity, right? God is, who wrote the Bible?
Well, man did.
Exactly. So, for all intents and purposes, the Bible was just written by a guy, some random white guy who knows really nothing about the way the world worked, especially back then, considering,
I would agree history. If the Christian God is not real, which I don't think he is, but if we operate under the premise that he's not real, I agree. The Bible is just written by a bunch of dudes. It has no bearing. If the Christian God is real, therefore specifically the Christian, not just God in general, but if the Christian God is indeed real, then all scripture of the Bible are God-breathed. And they're all true because that's what the Christian God says about the Bible.
Well, I would argue that again, the Bible wasn't written by God; it was just written by people.
Yes,
and so
you're operating under
any evil
hold on,
actions.
Ram, you're operating under the worldview that Christianity doesn't exist.
Well, okay. So let me guess the preface by saying I am Catholic, very loosely Catholic, bordering on like atheist.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that, and I'm a big fan of mythology, which is, I guess, is where a lot of my perspective on this comes from. And that's that, religion functions as stories to, promote a worldview that people can adopt in order to, better help their communities and to function as a sort of solace for life after death. And as the Christian God, as a concept, functions to promote that, then, all power to it. I think where the real evilness that exists in the Bible or even in the real world based around Christianity and the Christian mythos is that there are people who will take the ideas that exist within this book that people base their worldviews around, which I will also say I don't agree with. I don't think you should center your worldview around this book that was created 100-something years ago by random people who kind of, again, wrote this book under the context to create a worldview and warp others to do, what they wanted to gain, amass, wealth, fame, power, control, things like that, because that is evil, and I'll agree with that. But to that extent, if God exists, which to me, God is more than that. It's a very loose concept, that God, and we're talking about it. God exists more as an idea. And to me, if it's an idea, that's enough of existence to qualify
here's
as
the
existence.
issue. Here's the issue, right? If we're taking a specific religion, so let's just take broadly Christianity, and I'm going to make the claim that the Christian God is specifically real. However, we're also making the claim that the Bible is just a collection of stories written by man in order to explain away things like death and things like that. Well, then believing in any specific sect of Christianity after that becomes functionally idiotic, right? Because now you're saying, well, I believe in Christianity, but I can't trust the book that tells me what is Christianity, how to follow Christianity, how whom I don't even have proof of Jesus anymore, right? That Jesus is the Messiah, which is the whole crux of Christianity, is believing that Jesus is the Son of God and following Jesus's teachings. So in order to have the conversation that the Christian God is evil, right, we have to have two predications in this. And one is that Christianity is real, and two is that the Bible is accurate. If either of those is wrong, then the conversation doesn't hold, because it would need those two presuppositions to be had. So if Christianity is not real, or if the Christian God is not real, there's no point in arguing if he's evil or not, unless we just want to have an argument about like what the text says. If the Bible is not true, then there's also no reason to argue, because we don't have any proof of what the Christian God has done, period. We don't have proof of Christianity if the Bible's not real.
Well, to that extent, I propose you're correct to the extent that, the argument can't be made in air quotes, but I believe it can, because, Christianity exists. And I think Christianity and God and the Christian God as a concept and ideas can exist without being predicated towards the Bible, because again, they are ideas. They are concepts that exist, that people, in terms of existing as an idea, and then people believe in them en masse, right? So if so many people believe in this one thing, obviously just because they believe in it doesn't make it true, but it doesn't make it not true, because it obviously can't be proven false or correct. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but it
functions as a, sorry, go ahead.
It just defeats there's no argument to be had, because you're not
I would say
you're not making a claim about my claim. You're not countering my claim.
Well, my claim is that I feel like I guess I didn't preface my claim. I would guess to say my claim is that it's unfair to label God as evil and the Christian God as evil when, you're taking these concepts and boiling them down to what people say in this book. When in reality, God is a very loose concept that exists and an individual perspective towards each person. And I think that's what's important, is that if people are going to learn religion and things like that, it's important to teach them to learn and kind of develop their own individual perspective and or relation to what God is, rather than basing it off of, these books that people make that, these claims that people make that result in these evil actions that relate back to the Bible cause. Like, take Trump, for example. I will be the first one to admit that Trump is a very evil person, right? He did a lot of fucked up shit. Can we both agree on that?
Sure.
But he also uses religion as his, as a big voter base for him, because he twisted these concepts and turned them to his benefit, when in actuality, the Bible is essentially just a book of guidelines and, old lessons that are supposed to teach people, in air quotes, right from wrong, because obviously right from wrong is different depending on perspective. So I think it's wrong to say that it's evil, because it's kind of shitting all over. Sorry for swearing, I'm not allowed to. It's kind of sorry, hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Sorry, I heard a sound go off. I think it's wrong to say that this is evil and this and that, because it kind of craps on a belief system that people own, and results in people, feeling bad about what they believe in, which as a result is kind of doing the same thing that Christians do, where, they'll lambaste other religions or people who aren't religious at all for believing in what they believe in. And I don't think that's okay.
I think it's absolutely okay to lambaste a religion whose religious text says that, it's okay to own slaves. I don't have an issue with this.
Well, to that extent, no, let me finish. Well, okay, not let me finish, but let me rephrase that. I believe that it's okay to lambaste religious organization and, industry, not the industrial complex of religion, but more so, the systems that exist around the religion, the church.
I would disagree with you in a couple of sects, right? Because the church says that, hey, it's not okay to own slaves. The church is actually like very upfront about this. Like the Catholic Church says, hey, in the catechisms, it's specific, you can't own slaves. But this would be going against what the Bible says, what the premise of the religion, which is the Bible, what this says, right? This is what I would be disagreeing with.
Well, I would agree that it's okay to, point out the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Where the things don't match up, with claims. I'm getting the term. I don't know. I'm blanking on it right now. The hypocrisy, I guess would be a way to phrase it.
Well, I think it's okay
to acknowledge the hypocrisy within these groups. And in fact, it's important to call it out. I just don't think it's okay to crap on the concept of God, because again, God can exist in different perspectives to different people, and I think it's just important to help educate people to know that the God that you read in the Bible is not necessarily the God that exists because it was just a book written by a person, and that just because you believe in God, it doesn't make you a bad person for believing in God because he, in air quotes, is evil based on the book that was, just written by a person, Yeah, does that make any sense?
I still feel like this sort of ignores any of the precepts. If it is the case that you're telling me we have no evidence of what God is like, then like I said, there's no argument to be had because we don't have any evidence of what God is like. But if the Bible is evidence of how God behaves, then it's absolutely okay to say he's evil based on that. But if we don't have evidence for how God behaves, I can't make a claim on anything because there's no evidence.
But by that same token, wouldn't the claim that God is evil be wrong to make?
No.
If there is no pre-existing understanding. If obviously I know you're saying that the Bible exists for the sake of the argument.
If I'm talking about the Christian God specifically, I have to be making a claim about this being via this religious text, and the religious text would be the Bible. In order for the Christian God to be real, the Bible has to be real. You can say that just God in general is real and not based it around the Bible, but in order for the Christian God specifically to be real, the Bible has to be real and accurate. Otherwise, there's no evidence of a Christian God whatsoever.
Okay. Well, if that is the predication of your argument, then I suppose I don't have much rebuttal to say around it, just because of the way I'm perspective on this.
Okay.
I was just thinking, I just don't like the idea of taking the piss on a person's belief system, because I don't believe that that's okay.
I think if your belief system is based on a book that goes, yo, it's cool to own slaves, then I would say it's okay to take the piss out of that belief system.
Oh, well, again, I would say it's important to take the piss out of the individuals and the systems that are based around it. And again, you can take the piss on the Bible. I don't care. The Bible is, again, just a book, right? I think, but to claim that you prefaced it with the Christian God and centered it around the Bible, but in my opinion, you can separate God from the Bible and still have God. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna base whether I shit talk a religious text off of what the religious text says.
Yeah, and again, you can shit on religious texts. To me, that's okay. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I just think what is wrong is to claim that, and I don't know if technically you are making this claim. I could be, incorrect in saying this, but it's wrong to say that it's wrong to believe in this thing because this thing is evil, when, for some people, right, they don't practice, the things that the book says, because they know that the book is just a book, not the hard, fast laws of the universe.
Yeah, but then again, why are you believing in the Christian God if you don't think the Bible is a true book? What is your evidence that the Christian God is real without the Bible?
Because it's a system of belief. Sometimes people need
what are you
to have
basing
faith.
the belief off of? It's okay if you're just believing that a God exists, but it's about if you believe in Christianity specifically. And if you're saying the book is not real, what do you how do you articulate your belief? How can you tell me in any way, shape, or form what Christianity is, what to believe, what are the rules of Christianity if the book's not real? Anything you tell me about God, I can just respond with, where's that? Where's the proof of that? And if you believe in the Bible, you go, well, it's the Bible. This is our religious text. And I go, cool. It'd be like if somebody who said, like, I follow Islam, but has never once cracked open the Quran and knows nothing about the rules of their, like, how do you make those rules?
Well, from my perspective, I would say that, you can look at the book and kind of use that as a general idea of what is like going on. Some things are true, some things are not true, and some things are true in the sense that there are certain principal beliefs, like treat your neighbor, love thy neighbor, treat others how you want to be treated, stuff like that.
How do I know that that's how do I know that treating my loving my neighbor is accurate to my religion? If I don't have a religious text to base it on.
At that point, I think it comes less down to the religion, more down to personal belief in terms of, like, is this the right thing to do?
Okay, but then,
like, if it's the right thing to do, and this religion,
you're believing a religion. So then, what's the point of the religion? What is the point of believing in the religion if you're going to act this way separate of it anyway?
Because it just provides the solace of, like, if I
why
do
that
right,
religion
then maybe there's something after.
If you're telling me that the Bible isn't accurate, right? Why are you? I know you said you're teetering on atheism, but why are you a Catholic? Why not any of the litany of other religions? Why specifically do you go with Catholicism as your, like, right now?
I guess. Well, I mean, I've always kind of just considered myself Catholic, mostly just because that's how I was raised. In terms of terminology, hell. If I was to be, like, blatantly honest on a definitional basis, I'm probably not, but that kind of is the definition that I prefer to go by, just because it's easier to, I guess, to kind of understand. Personally, I kind of go under the belief that, like, God exists as an idea, or in the terms of existence in itself, and that, what created the universe was God. Maybe God was the Big Bang. Maybe the Big Bang was God, because I also, find a lot of my, understanding of the world off of science, So, if God was the Big Bang, then it was that, and any other unravelings of the universe that happened since then was because God kind of left it up to chance to let it snowball. And that's what life is.
Here's my response to this. If I'm having a conversation with somebody about religion,
mm-hmm.
and that person tells me, hey, I'm Christian, and then they tell me, I don't believe in that the Bible is word of God. I think the Bible was written by man. It has no sect or anything. My response is, why are you Christian? Why not any of the other thousands of religions that have or will exist? Why specifically are you Christian if you don't believe in the Bible? And if they give me any answer that is tied to a story from the Bible, then they actually do believe in the Bible. They're just cherry picking what they do and don't use in the Bible. And it just becomes an incoherent mess.
And to that, I would say, at least from my perspective, why would I believe in the Bible if I don't believe that the Bible is a real story because it was written by man and that it's just inherently biased and, used for tactics? I would say that I believe in God because I just do. That's okay. It's okay to just believe in something. People believe in flat Earth. I don't. To preface, I don't believe in flat Earth, but people do. And if it doesn't hurt anybody, then that's okay to me.
I think if
the belief system that they enroll themselves in, if they themselves are not directly going out of their way to harm other people, that's okay. I don't agree with the Christians who, like...
Wait. I think there's a fundamental issue with somebody who says, I believe in this religion whose religious texts tells you to do all this fucked up shit for no reason. I think there's a fundamental issue going on there.
Well, by that same logic, any religion technically bad, because a lot of
Yes.
religions have also had in their text bad things happen.
You're getting it, Ram. You're starting to get it.
But by that same token, still, you know, I think it's okay to cherry pick religion, because I look at religion from a mythological standpoint, in the sense that, you know, these are stories that were created to, at some point, for people to kind of have some idea of what they think might be moral or immoral. And obviously there are some things that have changed from time to time, from period to period. And that's okay.
You can't cherry pick. You can't say my book. You can't go, this book tells me that being kind is a good thing, so I'm going to follow it. This book also says it's okay to sell my daughter into slavery, but I'm just going to ignore that part and just vibe with the kind part. That's like saying you know what that's like saying? That's like saying I think it's wrong of me to listen to R. Kelly. Or I think it's wrong to support R. Kelly, but I'm still going to listen to his music. I'm just going to ignore the child shit.
I can see the point you're trying to make and where you're coming from, and I respect that. I really do. I'm just saying that I think that it's trying to phrase it like, religion is okay if it functions to, you know, help you get through your day-to-day like slog, because, you know, at least maybe if you die, there's something after. If that's what you believe in.
Wait, I've already said
after.
I don't mind if someone's just has a belief, right, that there is a God. It's if you believe in a specific one, you need to believe in the stories of that God. Otherwise, there is no reason to believe in that specific God. That's like saying my favorite TV show is Game of Thrones, but I've never watched a single episode. I just have faith it's a good show.
Well, religion has always been inherently, you know, paradoxical, rather, because, you know, a lot of religions that you can't like depict any other god but this one, but then there's still, well, not any god, but you can't depict God in image or in one form, because, you know, it goes against whatever have you. But then it's still, you know, a written story. It still exists. People still know about it, and that's just because it goes around. You know, I just think that it's okay to believe in a mythology if it exists, or if in your individual perspective, it functions to help you, you know, feel okay about your like end of your lifetime, and if it helps you do right by the people around you.
All right, this is the last thing I'm going to say on it, right? And then I'm going to move on. Personally,
all right,
I think if you are going to believe in a mythology, but you don't actually believe in that mythology, to me, that's a person I'm not trusting with anything in life, because that's a person that just operates under vibes. And I'm not going to trust you with almost anything else. Like that standard of that standard is wild to me, of you know, vibes based. Like, I'm going to believe in this entire religion off of vibes, not off of like anything else. I don't trust that type of person.
Well, I guess that was where we agree to disagree then, because I prefer to kind of just hope that people choose the right thing to do. I believe in a lot of things, you know. I believe in like pro-choice. I'm a very liberal person, I'll say that, but I do think, and then to that extent, you know, in my liberalness, I think it's okay to people to believe in something that gives them like hope for, you know, their lives, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's totally okay if someone just believes.
I think it's okay.
I think it's totally okay if someone just believes that there was a creator of the universe. But if they're going to believe in a specific version of that creator with nothing but vibes, that's where I have an issue with.
All right. Well, it was very nice discussing this with you. I appreciate your perspective.
Right. No problem.
Have a good day.
You too. Anyway, I think Jesus is kind of gay. He be kissing people on the mouth. And why was he found with a naked boy in the Garden of Gethsemane? Seems kind of weird. Why was there a naked boy hanging out? What do you guys think of? What should we name this little guy? What do you guys think of this little guy? What should his name be? This just a little man. I don't know. I just started doodling. Jesus is in the Epstein files. This is crazy.
Thank you, Boo.
Brick. No, wait, I like it. This is Brick. Everybody say hello to Brick. He's a brick. Ow. Looks like Tyler's Cherry Bomb logo. What is that? Oh shit. Terrifying. Hello, are you here to debate?
I sure am.
Okay. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Steven, he, him.
And age?
33.
Okay, Steven, what topic on the board are you here to talk about?
Gender nihilism.
Okay. Is that a topic on my board today?
I'm sorry?
Was that a topic on the board?
Sorry, I didn't understand what you're saying.
Was that a topic on my board that I missed?
Oh, I didn't see. I just was looking at the chat and someone mentioned gender nihilism, and it was something that I also identify with. And I haven't really had this conversation with a lot of people, but it's something that I've always, kind of internally sort of questioned myself about, what.
I assume that their phone disconnected or something. I don't know. We know it wasn't me. I was literally rubbing my eye when it happened. I mean, he can call back. I don't really necessarily want to talk about gender nihilism, but he can call back if he wants. Yeah, do you think Brick is haunted? Do you think it was Brick? Oh. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah, hey, it was Steven. My call did disconnect.
Okay. See, Chad, it wasn't me.
Yes. Yeah, I heard you say you didn't really want to talk about gender nihilism. So
I just don't really have an opinion on it. Like, I don't. If
I got you.
We as humans want to abolish gender, go nuts. Go nuts. I think some people won't like it.
It's part of like a whole conversation of like, when people talk about gender being connected to biology, and then there's the discussion about gender being a social construct. I guess I've always just kind of juggled like which one is it for me, and maybe I've always leaned on the side of gender as being the social construct, you know. And when you go down that for me, when I've gone down that rabbit hole of gender being the social construct of itself, I end up to the point where it's like, well, what's the point of gender? You know, is gender even a real thing? If it's all just kind of made up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, gender would be made up. But like, I don't think something being made up means it's bad. There are a lot of people who do get a lot of joy about engaging with their gender in specific ways. So like, I don't necessarily have an issue with.
So would you say as like, are you on the side of gender being a spectrum thing where someone may lean closer to being a man, closer to a woman?
Is gender a spectrum? It would depend on the society you're in. Man and women aren't the only gender roles. Gender is going to be contingent on whatever culture or society you're currently placed in.
Mm-hmm. So you would say then in one culture, the woman cooking in the kitchen fills that gender role, whereas maybe in another culture, the man cooking in the kitchen fills that gender role.
I don't think I don't think gender roles need to exist. Gender can exist without gender roles.
I agree with that. So then what would you say is gender then? So I am a woman because I say I'm a woman. Would you agree with that?
People are women if they have a gender identity that aligns with their personal schema on the female sex. That's what would make them women.
So what does that look like exactly for you?
So it would look like, like essentially saying that the way that your brain throughout your entire life has interpreted what females are is going to tell us what your gender is.
So female as a sex, right, is something that we can measure. So I can, and I'm not specifically speaking about human beings, right? We could go through all of the animal kingdom and identify an animal sex based off of the type of chemistry and biology that it has. So, I mean, it's not that like sex is something that we can just go, this is what I feel like the sex is. It's the sex is quite determined, right?
So when I say your schema around the female sex, it's how your brain interprets the behaviors and attributes surrounding females in your given society. So for some people, this is going to look more along the lines of for me, right? When I look at females, they look a specific way, they act a specific way, and then for others, it'll be different. It's why we use the phrase that it's about their personal schema.
Thank you, Boo.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, how someone, decides to express themselves, right? I mean, that's independent of their sex, but like, I agree. Like in different cultures, someone might have an idea of what a female is based on what that culture consumes, or expresses itself. I guess what I'm trying to say is in terms of how I was going along the line of, gender being the social construct and people expressing themselves on that gender line. And sure, like, I agree too with what you were saying about like, people finding joy, right? Finding joy in whatever that means to them. And I don't think it's right to maybe take that away from somebody, because at the end of the day, like, what the fuck? But also too, at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I mean, the gender doesn't really exist, right? I mean, it's not something that we can actually look at and say like, yeah, this is a real gender.
Well, yeah, gender is a social construct, so it would exist in relation to whatever society that it exists in. Social constructs are still real things. Just because they're abstract things doesn't mean they're not real.
And so you're saying then depending on that whatever that culture is, that gender, however it is in that construct, is different.
Whatever but then, the culture is, yes.
But I mean, wouldn't that just make so people right? So let's take the whole world, whatever, all these different gender expressions, social constructs, whatever. Doesn't it just sound like everyone has their own personality and we're just giving it another word?
No.
How not, though? I mean,
because personality is not going to be tied to this, right? Like I can have a gender of man that has nothing to do with like what my personality is. Personality is completely different. Personality.
But then what makes you the man?
Having a gender identity, which is when your gender identity is the way your body, the subjective perception your body or the subjective perception you have of your sex and how that sex is oriented in your body, and having that be aligned with your schema, which is the way your brain interprets information and categorizes information on whatever male or female is in that given society.
But also how you're expressing yourself.
No. Gender expression is going to be different. You don't ever need to, I don't ever have to express as a man to be a man. And somebody who's a woman never has to express as a woman to
but
be
then
a woman.
how do we have any reference for what a man is?
What do you mean? It's an identity, so it would be an internal
right,
thing.
But without having first people express the idea of what being a man is. I mean, it's not like cavemen just woke up and were like, I'm a fucking man. You know what I mean?
Yes, when we started doing this, we just aligned it based off of sex. We don't do that anymore.
Traditionally speaking, the gender whatever is a redundancy, right? Because it was just traditionally has been aligned with sex, but also used as a linguistic tool, right? I mean, all the Latin-based languages use gender to identify objects, right? I mean, obviously the table is not a female in Spanish.
Yeah. So the issue is that you're saying we have to have some set. You're essentially saying in order to have gender, we have to have gender roles, which I disagree with.
I'm saying to understand gender, we have to have a point of reference for what that even is outside of the sex, right?
We do.
And so, but it's not just, maybe that I said a couple extra words there, but in order for that person to have understood, their personal feeling of whatever their schema of whatever they feel like them being that gender, they had to have seen it. You know what I mean? They've had to have experienced it in some way.
What are you
first?
What? No.
But they had a point of reference for what it meant to them to be a man.
Sure, that doesn't mean it's a gender role.
No, maybe not a gender role, but the fact that, however that got ascribed to being a man.
You don't have to express that in order to be a man. You just have to align with that.
Align with it, sure. It. But then what makes that being a man? Whatever that alignment is, like what makes that alignment being a man?
It's individualized. It's an individualized thing.
So it's a personality.
No, it's not a personality.
But it's not a real thing.
Just because it's not real doesn't mean it. Just because it's not like tangible doesn't mean anything. Abstract stuff can be real. Let me ask you a question. What is a friend?
To me, how I would identify a friend would be, you hang out, you share common beliefs, you enjoy the time that you spend with that person.
Okay. What if I don't think that that's what qualifies as a friend?
Then that's not what qualifies as a friend for you.
Oh, there you go. So you understand this.
Right, but I don't understand how that breaks down what I'm saying.
Just take friend and replace friend with man.
So it's arbitrary.
Yeah, arbitrary just means there's no like universal you're just saying it's subjective. Like, yes, it is subjective. There's no universal truth when it comes to gender. Yes, it is an identity, meaning it's inherently a subjective thing.
Mm-hmm.
All emotions would be. All emotions are arbitrary. All connections we have are arbitrary. All of this all of this stuff is arbitrary. Like, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean we can't operate within it in some meaningful way. Like, I don't understand what the problem is here. You don't think friendship doesn't exist, right? Do you think friendship exists?
Of course friendship exists.
Do you think friendship being arbitrary makes it like any less valid when somebody has a friend or somebody views friendship in a specific way?
You know, having friends and having social connections is an essential part of our humanness, right? I mean, it's literally part of our nature. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the things that we have today.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
you can't necessarily say that about
make it not arbitrary.
Well, certainly friendship, right, is not arbitrary in the same way that someone having gender identity.
The way you decide a friend is completely arbitrary. It's completely subjective to any individual person.
Sure.
Gender is the same way. And the way you decide what is a friend to you is your brain has categorized a schema on friendship throughout your entire life, and you use that schema to determine if someone meets the internal qualifications for you of what a friend is. It's the exact same.
But I don't think that necessarily correlates to when we replace friendship with gender. I think the friendship part is essential, right? Having those human connections, those social connections at that level is essential and has been essential in the evolution of our species. Whether or not someone is a gender is, I mean, doesn't really.
Can you point out a time in our species where we haven't operated under some level of like gender? In what way? Just like, has there been a time where our species hasn't utilized gender in some way? It would appear that if you're saying friendship was necessary for humans to evolve to this point, if I look at human evolution and I see that we've always had some level of gender, whether it was back when we were just separating on sex lines or not, we still classified this as gender. It seems like gender would be as essential as friendship is.
It's been a critical topic in regards to how we've structured that society, right? I mean, traditionally speaking, we've lived in human history can be written by, the patriarchy, right? I think we can agree on that. And so, historically speaking, like, yeah, the way that gender has influenced the society has been powerful.
And I don't see our issues. I don't see our issue then. Genuinely, I don't see the issue.
Well, I just in the sense that, like, so someone may say, like, for me saying like, oh, gender is just like a totally arbitrary thing, like, and people go around saying like, oh, I'm a trans, whatever. But then people will also say like, oh, but the trans people were never the other gender to begin with. Have you heard that conversation where someone say like, oh, they were always that gender? Then it's like, well, then did you transition? Is the gender even a real thing?
The gender a real? Did you even transit? Trans doesn't mean transitioning. And when someone says they're transitioning, what they're saying is they're going from.
Wait, what does trans mean?
Trans just means your gender identity doesn't align with your sex. Doesn't mean that you are transitioning. Someone doesn't ever have to transition to be trans.
Oh, sure.
Transitioning just means that you're no longer presenting as one like you have a typical gender presentation as a man, and if you transition to a woman, you no longer engage with that typical gender presentation.
Right. I got you. So that's sort of what I'm talking about, is like someone who's like like the man and the woman, like I'm presenting as a man or a woman, but then it's like, well, then what the fuck, man? Like, just because I'm a man, right? I don't identify with any of these things, so like you could say I'm agender. But like, say like me as a man, I put on a dress, like that doesn't make me a woman, right?
Correct.
Like the presentation of the thing doesn't.
Correct. That would not make you a man or a woman. Just putting on a dress.
right? So we can't say that like now like
expression is different than gender identity.
Correct. Yes, how someone expresses themselves is different than, whatever a gender is. But then it's still, what's the point of the gender, right? It's a totally, as abstract as it is and has as much joy as people find in it. It's like it's not a thing. It's not a thing that's like, just because you express yourself and however whatever this and that, like. What's that?
What's the point of love?
Well, now we're just going down the same road as the friendship thing.
Well, what's the point? If you're saying there's no point to gender, even though it's something that we know people experience joy from engaging with. What's the point of love? We don't need love on an evolutionary basis. We don't need love to repopulate. We don't need love to do any of that. People find
you
joy.
Don't need it, right? But it is something that we feel, and whether or not someone else says that they feel love, I mean, we just have to believe them, right? At the end of the day, like, there's no way for us to measure how much love someone's feeling. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. But like people have experienced this feeling of love just because we can write about it and express it and talk about it in a way that someone else might also feel that same whatever that person's feeling in regards to love. I don't think this conversation necessarily correlates to the gender.
What you're literally just making my point. If you recognize that people like to feel love and it's just something we do and enjoy,
that's fine.
Well, people also like to get joy out of feeling gender, and human brains just naturally feel gender stuff. Like,
that's totally fine.
So I don't understand.
That's totally fine. But as the social construct, as the gender as a made up idea, right? Love is something, if you take the word out of love, right? If you just remove the language altogether from love, people would still feel love, right? If you remove the word gender out of the conversation, like how is someone feeling gender? Like, where is that in the system?
Hypothalamus.
What did you say? I'm sorry?
It's in the hypothalamus.
Okay, I'm not familiar with anything related to the.
That's where all your identity is in the brain.
So as far as but I'm saying remove language from the conversation, right? How is someone feeling gender? And you're saying hypothalamus is as far as identity, but then it's just another personality, right? That's just someone's personality.
No.
How not?
I don't understand how you can understand this concept with other, like, how does somebody feel love? How does somebody feel anything?
No one, I mean, we just have to listen to someone expressing what love feels like for them. You know what I mean? But that's an emotion that someone's actually going through. Like, if they didn't have if we remove the words away from feeling and emotions, that they would still feel the emotion. If you remove the words out of gender, right? If you just take out the language of it for gender, like, what is that? What is feeling like a man?
I think what might be happening here is you might not feel, because you've said you don't identify with either of these. So I think the issue is you don't feel this way. And because you don't feel this way, you think that everybody else should be matching that and we should abolish gender, even though some people do feel this way. Some people just have
I would disagree with that. I don't want to sit here and put out there that I think that we should abolish gender.
That's what you said at the beginning of this conversation.
What I meant to bring up in the beginning of the conversation is that I've been intrigued by that conversation, is that topic of gender nihilism.
Okay.
Not that I necessarily align with it, but I think it's a fascinating topic.
There are people whose brains get senses of euphoria from different gender-related things or dysphoria from different gender-related things. This tells us that when it comes to gender, our brains have an innate reaction to the way we engage with or react with, or whatever you want to call it, to gender. It's the same way with emotions and feelings. You can have negative emotions tied to a litany of things, right? You have positive emotions tied to a litany of things. when someone says I feel like a man or I feel like a woman, it's meaning that their body is having some sort, or their brain is having some sort of reaction to whatever thing is that's making them feel like a man or woman. This happens in the hypothalamus, blah 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 blah. This is the same with all emotions.
I understand that totally.
This is the same with all identity. So there are some people that that have this feeling of euphoria when they engage in like fucking Christianity, right? This is identity. So like
totally. I understand all that. Yeah. But let me try and paint the picture because we're talking about like love as an emotion that someone's feeling. So if we remove all the pre-context, like all the whatever is the point of reference for someone, you know, thinking what is a man, what is a woman, and how that feels for them, which is something we invented, right? Something that we totally made up. The word. So when we're talking about the emotion of love, right? We're using that as like our comparison. We ascribed a word to that feeling that people feel that we can corroborate between each other, right? It's like looking at
we made up friendship.
So like when
friendship isn't some innate. We made up friendship. Friendship isn't some innate feeling we have. We don't have like an innate feeling of friendship, right? We just made up a word to explain what a bunch of different emotions feel like tied together when paired with some level of connection to another person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand.
Yeah. So let's take like a man wearing a dress, for example, and how fashion evolved, you know, throughout history, right? Right now we would say, like, traditionally speaking, women wear dresses, men wear suits, kind of thing, right? Just really general, basic concept. Which is, you could totally flip those concepts if whatever happened throughout our evolution as humanity, men were wearing dresses, right? And women were wearing suits, and that was, you know, generally understood that those genders wore those things. It could go either way. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we just totally made that up is like, what? Like someone feeling like a woman because like they want to wear dresses. I don't know. Hold on, that's derailing. I wanted to talk about. I wanted to paint the picture of like using the word, making up the word love, right, to explain the emotion that we feel, that most people feel, more or less. And how someone could say like, oh, using a point of reference, right, without the point of reference for feeling like a man, how would someone feel like a man? Like like you're saying that they've identified with that thing, but if that thing didn't exist, how would they identify with that thing? That we've totally made up.
I don't think you would identify with the category of man if the category of man didn't exist.
Yeah, right.
So I don't understand the issue.
I mean, we wouldn't identify with anything that doesn't exist.
Yes, so I don't understand the issue.
I don't think it's so much an issue. I think it's just the thing of the idea of like, this is a man because these are all the things that like how can someone, like, sure, like someone could look at a thing and be like, look, I identify with being a man because I like having a beard and a mustache or whatever, and that's manly to me. But like to someone else, I mean, like, it's just as good to say like, oh, having a beard and a mustache is womanly to me. Like there's like, how can someone, like, it doesn't make any sense. It could go either way.
That's what, okay. This is why when I define man and woman, I use the phrase personal schema because it's about the individual, not the way others see them. It's the way they see themselves in correlation with these things.
Right. So it's just the personality.
No, it's not a personality.
Well, maybe they're not mutually exclusive. It certainly is a personality, right? I mean, it's however
Can you define
however
personality for me. Can I know what you mean when you say the phrase personality?
Just how each individual person, you know, expresses themselves, like you were saying, based on the things that they're influenced by and their environment and their culture and this and that.
I would disagree. I would disagree that personality equals identity, because like black me being black is part of my identity, but like I don't have a my personality isn't black. You know?
Perhaps not for you.
How would anyone's personality be black?
Well, I mean, it would be the same thing as someone saying, well, how can any personality be black? I mean, that's an objective thing to say about someone is like, oh, they have darker skin tones. How strong someone identifies that and integrates that into their personality is, anyone's personal take.
What? You said that some people's personality would be black. How? What is like?
Well, then
how
what
would
is
that
being?
be?
Well, hold on. That's an abstract thought. I don't know if I want to go in that direction.
This is the whole conversation. Okay, I'm gonna. We've been talking for like 30 minutes. I'm gonna move on to the next call.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Fair enough. Good chatting with you.
All right. No, personally, I don't know that any of the conversations that I've had today feel very video worthy, TBH. I definitely think we'll play some horror games today. I definitely think I need a palate cleanser at the end of debates today. Also, I just feel like everybody calling in isn't calling in to debate me on anything. They're just like, I have questions about X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, oh my God, can we get somebody that like truly disagrees? Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes.
Okay. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Can't quite get my entire name. I just go by Red, 36, and he, him.
Okay, Ray, what topic on the board did you want to debate about?
Let's see. Well, let's see. I'm looking at the board now. Although I have the question of which side I'd be debating on. I wanted to piggyback off the last one we were on, just to kind of learn a little bit.
Well, so I believe everything on the board. So anybody that's calling in would be calling in because they don't believe any of the things on the board.
Oh, Canada. Okay.
Do you agree with what's on the board?
Yeah. Okay. I thought we picked. My bad. This is my first time ever doing this. Yeah.
No, you're good. We just would have nothing to debate about. But if you want to, I'm sure if you keep looking on the good old internet, there you're gonna find some conservatives that disagree with these topics on the board.
Oh man, is that ever the case? Although the other, let's see, trans men, women are men. That first one is the one I didn't quite understand. If you could clarify a little bit, that trans men / women are men / women.
Yeah, men and women are like sociological categories that we filter people into based on like shared characteristics, and I think trans men and women would meet those shared characteristics to fit into those categories.
Okay. So I guess the debate I could debate you on that. Just for the sake of, what's up?
If you don't disagree, though, I would want to leave the line open for people that do, because then people try to call in and then aren't able to get in. If me and you are just having like a devil's advocate debate.
Men and women are like sociological categories that we do.
Okay, I understand what you mean. Basically, what my disagreement with that, based on what you were saying in the previous.
Chat off in the background. Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because there you go. Basically, it was kind of based on what you were saying before about the idea of gender being something that is a presentation versus, I guess what my argument would be is that it's more of a social construct / contract as opposed to something that is around personality. I think that was something he was talking about, which didn't quite make any sense.
Yeah, so me and you don't disagree then.
Okay, cool. All right, then. Well, good luck to you. I'm going to keep watching the chat, though. Appreciate
All
you.
right. No problem. You have a good one.
You too.
And we are not getting many people that disagree today. Hello, are you here to debate?
Hey, of course I am.
Okay.
Why would I be calling otherwise?
Well, were you listening? We just had like multiple callers that called in otherwise. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns?
Well, they're not very intelligent. My name is Dirk. I'm 30 years old, and my pronouns are she/her.
Okay, Dirk, what topic on the board are you calling to talk about?
Well, I disagree with the first one where you say trans men are men and trans women are women.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I would disagree that that's always the case. Would you say that that's always the case? If someone says they're a trans man, then they always are a man?
No, I would say if somebody is a trans man, then they are a man, not just that somebody says they're a trans man. If they are a trans
so
man.
There's a difference. So there is a difference. So someone could be wrong about their gender identity.
Nope, not that they're wrong, but there are bad faith actors who like to pretend like they are trans to try to prove a point. I don't know if you might know anyone like that. Those people would not actually be trans, so they would not actually be women because their gender identity would not align with. I'm sorry, I wasn't done. Their gender identity would not actually align with their schema on the female sex. So because of this, you have some people whose pronouns should probably be like bad/faith. But if you actually have a gender identity that aligns with your schema on the female sex, then you would absolutely be trans. You don't have to affirm this in any like vocal way for that to be the case.
Right. So if I genuinely say I'm a trans man, then that means I'm a man. Is that fair to say?
If you genuinely have a gender identity that aligns with your schema on the female sex, then you would be a trans woman. Well, you would just be a woman. But if your gender identity doesn't align with your own personal sex, then you would be a trans woman.
But how would you know what my identity is without me having to exclaim that and say it out loud?
I wouldn't. Identity is an internal thing. There's no way for somebody to know your identity without you telling them. But we can make inferences based on the way people behave. So if I had somebody who for their entire lives has been very anti-trans, who one day just goes like, oh, but can't I be a trans woman today? Can't I identify as a woman today? I probably wouldn't believe them based on their history. It would take a little bit more than them just affirming something to like get me to believe them, because some people
they would have to convince you of their gender identity.
Well, I mean, yeah, bad faith actor would probably need to show me that they're not being a bad faith actor. Yeah.
So in other words, someone has to prove their gender identity to you for you to accept them.
Nope.
Is that fair to say?
Just bad faith actors.
Well, when I say someone, bad faith actors could be included in that.
No, I'm only including bad faith actors. So there's nobody else that I'm including.
How would you discern if somebody's bad faith versus
I just explained that to you. If I have somebody who's never,
the only scenario.
Here, let me explain it. Let me show you. If I have somebody who comes onto a debate stream, right? For example, let's just completely hypothetical. Someone comes onto a debate stream
for this example,
and they go, yeah, my pronouns are she, her, and then they tell me, yeah, I don't believe trans women are women. Well, right then and there, they've kind of showed me that they're a bad faith actor, right? They've just proven this to be the case. So now,
well, you don't think a trans person could believe that?
I'm sorry. Was I done?
I thought you were done.
Oh, that's crazy. Did I stop talking?
Well, your mic is kind of going in and out
okay.
a little bit.
Just making sure. So if they do this, I'm probably not going to, on my face, believe the stuff that they say because they've shown to me that they're bad faith actors. Now, when trans women come up here to argue that they are not actually women, they tend to do it in a different way than like this fictional Dirk person did. So yeah, I might believe them a little more because they don't start the conversation with, oh, so I could just identify as a woman one day and now I'm a woman. No, because even trans women that come up here to argue know that that's not the case. So yeah, that's how I would recognize bad faith actors. But Dirk, if you're using this as your coming out story, feel free. You can prove it to us. You can prove it to us if you want to. Go nuts. I'm totally fine if this is your coming out story.
Well, I just wanted to confirm, and it sounds like you did confirm this, that they have to prove to you that they're good faith.
Bad faith actors always need to prove that they're good faith. Yes.
Right. So they would have to somehow prove to you that their internal gender identity is that of a woman, right? So
yes,
they would do that by doing what?
Bad faith. I don't know. Tell me about your childhood.
So they would have to give you a backstory of their childhood. What else? Would they have to wear makeup as well?
Nope.
What
I don't give a shit. I don't care what you look like. I don't give a shit what you look like. It has nothing to do with what you look like. I don't know if you heard the part where I said gender identity. I don't really care what your outward appearance is, right? You can look however you want to look. Dirk, can I just confirm, Dirk, really quickly, can I just confirm, are you actually listening to the words that I'm saying, or are you just waiting for your chance to talk?
Well, I hear the words that you're saying, but I think they're conflicting with past things that you've said.
Sure, like what specifically? Give me specifics.
Well, so it sounds like you're saying gender identity is just an internal identity, right? And it has no bearing on society or others' views of what you are. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, when have I ever not made the claim that gender identity was an internal critique of the self?
Well, because you're the one also saying that they have to prove to you that their identity is that of a woman, other than them just exclaiming.
Who has to prove it to me?
You said, quote unquote, bad faith actors would need to prove it to you that they're legitimate.
Yes, bad faith actors.
But you're inferring that they're bad faith actors based on
the way they
past things that they've said, and maybe that the way they look
act.
and present themselves.
I'm affirming that they're bad faith actors based on the way that they act. If they act in bad faith, then I would say that they are a bad faith actor. If they begin a conversation with, so I can just identify as a woman tomorrow, that would tell me they're a bad faith actor. They don't actually know how gender works. They don't know how gender identity works. They're just trying to get like sort of a gotcha moment in a debate. And the way that they get this gotcha, it's so funny because what they think they're doing is they think that they're being original, like that I haven't heard this before. So the way they try to get this gotcha is they try to say, well, here are my pronouns. My pronouns are feminine pronouns. They might be pronouns traditionally used by women. So now you have to tell me I'm a woman because that's your whole thing. I've not up here one time in the history of ever said that I'm going to affirm every single person that tells me they're a woman. I'm going to affirm good faith actors that tell me they're a woman. Bad faith actors can lick nards for all I care.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when I said that they have to prove to you that they have that internal gender identity, that's true, right?
Bad faith actors would need to show me
you're just asserting that they're
not bad faith.
I could say I've
given you the parameters of why they would be bad faith actors. If you disagree with the parameters
were me saying that trans men are not men and trans women are not women. But in the same sentence,
this is why I asked if you were listening.
Trans women, that's it.
This is why I asked if you were listening. What were the actual parameters I said led me to believe that somebody like you is bad faith?
Well, because you said, "Oh, I just declare that I'm a woman tomorrow, even though I've been anti-trans my whole life." That's the parameters you said.
Nope. I said when people use the argument of, oh, so I can just identify tomorrow, I can just become a woman, that tells me they know nothing about what it means to be trans. They have no idea about how being transgender works. They have no idea how gender identity works. They have no idea how gender dysphoria works. And because of this, I know that they're probably not actually trans, because an actual trans person knows that they don't just wake up tomorrow and they're like, oh, I'm a woman today. They know that this is the case. An actual trans person is going to have felt like a woman or a girl for pretty much most of their gendered life. And because of this, I know when someone's being bad faith, because if a good faith person comes in who is trans, they know what it is like to be trans. Bad faith people who have never researched what it is to be trans don't. And so they make very avoidable mistakes. And maybe you'll be able to avoid this mistake the next time you call a trans rights advocate and try to argue this against them. But there are people who can avoid these mistakes by simply just researching what being transgender is. You didn't do the research ahead of time, so you kind of failed in that regard.
Well, I don't think I have, because you implied that I'm bad faith, but I never said I just became trans.
Did you say the phrase that so if I wanted to just identify tomorrow as a woman, I could? Did you say this phrase?
No, I never said that.
Yes, you did.
You said that. I never said that.
You want to bet?
No, I didn't. Sure, play the tape back.
Okay, sure. You said, and I'll play the tape back. Hold on. You said to some variation, oh, so I can just identify as a woman. I can just wake up and identify as a woman. Let's play the tape back and let's listen. And
let's hear it.
Prove, I don't know, for the millionth time, I have to do this shit. Like, I don't know if people don't realize that I write down the shit they're saying as they say it. Hello, are you in debate? Okay, let's fast forward.
Why would I be calling otherwise? That's always the case. Would you say that that's always the case if someone says they're a trans man? Trans men are men and trans.
No.
So there is a difference. So someone
who like to pretend. Nope, not that they're wrong, but
there is a difference. So someone could be wrong about their gender.
Nope.
I'm 30 years old, and my pronouns are she/her.
Okay, Dirk, what topic on the board are you calling to talk about? I'm just going to listen to the whole thing. Why not?
Well, I disagree with the first one, where you say trans men are men and trans women are women.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I would disagree that that's always the case. Would you say that that's always the case? If someone says they're a trans man, then they always are a man?
No, I would say if somebody is a trans man, then they are a man, not just that somebody says they're a trans man. If they are a trans man,
there's a difference. So there is a difference. So someone could be wrong about their gender identity.
Nope, not that they're wrong, but there are bad faith actors who like to pretend like they are trans to try to prove a point. I don't know if you might know anyone like that. Those people would not actually be trans, so they would not actually be women because their gender identity would not align with. I'm sorry, I wasn't done. Their gender identity would not actually align with their schema on the female sex. So because of this, you have some people whose pronouns should probably be like bad/faith. But if you actually have a gender identity that aligns with your schema on the female sex, then you would absolutely be trans. You don't have to affirm this in any like vocal way for that to be the case.
Right. So if I genuinely say I'm a trans man, then that means I'm a man. Is that fair to say?
If you genuinely have a gender identity that aligns with your schema on the female sex, then you would be a trans woman. Or you would just be a woman. But if your gender identity doesn't align with your own personal sex, then you would be a trans woman.
But how would you know what my identity is without me having to exclaim that and say it out loud?
I wouldn't. Identity is an internal thing. There's no way for somebody to know your identity without you telling them. But we can make inferences based on the way people behave. So if I have somebody who for their entire lives has been very anti-trans, who one day just goes like, oh, but can't I be a trans woman today? Can't I identify as a woman today?
No, Dirk,
I probably wouldn't
apologize.
believe them.
I inferred
that it was what you said. You didn't actually say that. So I'll apologize. That being said,
apology accepted.
That being said, I think you listening back to the start of the call, I think you sort of imply it in your, so they can just say, but sure, you didn't use those words specifically.
Right. Yeah, and for some reason, you just assumed I was bad faith. Why?
No, I still
you
think you're
explain
bad
to me
faith.
why?
No, I still think you're bad
I
faith.
know.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why you do?
Yeah. Are you trans, Dirk?
I'm trans. I'm a she, her.
Okay. How long have you been feeling this way?
I feel like I've been born this way. I've always felt this way.
Born what way?
As a woman, as a trans
You've been
woman,
born
I
as
felt
a
like a
woman.
woman.
Okay. You feel like a woman.
I feel like a woman, but I'm not a woman.
When did this start, Dirk?
Oh, I'd say maybe the ripe old age of 3, maybe 4.
You say 3 or 4. And what does it feel like? What does it feel like?
Well, I think that's something that only a trans woman would know. It's hard to kind of articulate that.
It's not hard to articulate. Trans women articulate it all the time.
Well, maybe I'm just having some trouble articulating it.
Okay, so try.
Well, I mean, I really like makeup, and I like playing with dolls, and I'm really into watching home renovation TV shows. And
okay, there we go.
That's what a trans woman does.
Thank you. Bad faith, like I said. Thank you.
So, because you don't like my reasoning, I'm no longer a trans woman. Is that your rationale?
Yes, because
based on what I said before, that was completely accurate. They have to prove to you. You literally just did this. They have to prove to you that they're actually
bad faith actors should need to prove that they're not bad faith actors. We went over this already.
Yeah, but you never told me why you thought I was a bad faith actor in the beginning. You admitted that I never said anything. I didn't do the criteria that
you might not have said. You might not have said. So I can wake up tomorrow and be a trans woman. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you still didn't give me.
So what did I do?
Red flags that you were a bad faith actor.
So can you articulate those red flags?
Did you listen to the same beginning of the debate that I did?
I did. You asked my pronouns. I said she, her, and then you immediately said I was bad faith.
No, I didn't immediately say you were bad faith.
Oh, okay. So can you articulate what I did to make you say I was bad faith?
Yes. Did you listen to the start of the same phone call that I did? And you didn't hear the bad faith?
I did. Absolutely not. You asked my pronouns. I told you them. We started going into a discussion how
I think the belief. I think the belief that in order to be trans, you just have to say you are, and you asserting that it's just about some level of vocal affirmation of what you are is the bad faith. Mm-hmm. I think other trans people are going to recognize that being trans isn't just something you say, it's something internal to them. And you didn't believe it was anything internal until I brought up the internal aspect.
On. You just said internal to them, but that's what I told you, but you said, oh, real trans women can articulate it. So I did the best I could.
No, that's not what you said.
That's okay. Let's play this tape back.
You said now. No, Dirk, I'm talking about the beginning of the conversation, right? I don't really care what you did in this part of the conversation because you're asking me how I realized that you were bad faith at the start of the conversation. I don't really care how you're bad faith in this part of the conversation. I'm talking about the beginning of the conversation.
What did I do at the beginning to make you say I'm bad faith?
When you use the phrase, so people just have to say they are something and you'll believe them.
Well, that's a question for you.
Yes, questions can be bad faith. Questions can be bad faith.
Oh, so because someone asks a bad question, then that invalidates their gender identity?
Because somebody asked a bad faith question, it would lead me to believe they are bad faith actors.
So what's bad faith about that question? I'm just trying to understand how you determine someone's gender identity. Is it if they say it? Is it how they present themselves?
I think that if you do not understand, if you're calling in and saying, hey, I am trans, and I believe that this is what being trans is, and that belief of what being trans is based on a false predication or some type of stereotype around women, then I would say if you're claiming to be a thing, but you know nothing about that thing except for stereotypes, then yes, I would probably say that you're not really that thing.
So can you enlighten me? What are some things that other trans women have told you? What's their rationale?
I'm not going to use other trans women's experience to talk to you.
Well, you're comparing my experience.
Yep. If you want to know what other trans women feel, you can go ask them. Call into Takis
I've
every
actually
Thursday.
spoken to many of them actually, and they
Call
have
into
very
Takis on
similar
Thursday.
answers as mine.
No, they don't.
They absolutely do.
No, they don't.
They go, "Oh, I was never into sports growing up. I always wanted to play with the dolls instead of the fire trucks. I knew just deep in my heart that I was a woman."
Sure they do, Dirk.
You think trans women don't say that?
Sure, Dirk.
So if you think they don't, can you tell me what they do say?
Sure, Dirk. No, I'm not going to repeat trans women's experiences to try to
invalidated my experience. So enlighten the room for us.
No, thanks.
Okay. So
I'm not going to use other trans women's experience. No, I already said I refuse to use another trans woman experience to try to debate you on it.
Yeah, but you invalidated my experience.
Yes, because we know you're lying.
Oh, so you know I'm lying.
Yes.
So you could just say other people are lying about their gender identity?
Yes, Dirk, I know you're lying. It's pretty easy to infer when somebody is lying about being actually trans. It's pretty easy. Yes, we know you're lying.
Here's the thing. I actually agree with you. Isn't that funny?
No
that
shit,
you and I agree
Sherlock.
with that?
Oh my God, what?
You and I agree on
Who
this
would have
point.
seen that coming? Whoa, no shit.
So you're saying, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the root of the question.
What?
If I think somebody's lying about being trans, I can misgender them, right? If I think they're lying about being a woman, I could call them a man.
I don't care what you call people, Dirk. I don't give a shit.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Then I think we're on the same page then. I'll say that they're a man. I'll force them to be in leagues with men, right? And then I'll make sure that they don't get to interfere with the lives of real women.
I love when like people go, aha, you fell for my trap. The trap that we obviously saw at the beginning of the fucking call and called out at the beginning of the call.
Right.
Wow, Dirk.
You're so smart. Wow, you should be proud of yourself.
Incredible, Dirk. How the fuck did you however could I have fucking guessed that Dirk, the bad faith actor, was being bad faith? Oh shit.
But I got you to admit that you could just misgender people if you
Hey Dirk, did I misgender you? Did I misgender you once this entire conversation?
Well, you just said I don't give a shit what your identity
Dirk,
is.
did I misgender you this entire conversation? Did I ever not say you were she, her?
Yeah, the entire time you implied
when did I ever say you were a he, him, Dirk?
Well, you didn't use the pronouns that are
so I didn't misgender you. The way to misgender you would be to call you a different gender. I didn't call you a different gender.
Yeah, but you're saying
I said you might be bad faith, and I said I don't think you're trans. By the way, are you a trans woman, Dirk? Dirk, are you a trans woman?
Absolutely, I am.
Dirk, are you a trans woman?
No,
you're not.
Yes, absolutely.
No, you're not.
So, see, that's misgendering by saying
no, it's not, because you're not
trans.
It would be misgendering if you were trans, but you're not. So it's not misgendering.
Because you think I'm lying, you could misgender.
I don't think you're lying. You affirm to me that you're lying.
When did I affirm to you I'm lying?
Pretty much the whole conversation, Dirk. The whole conversation.
Can you play back the tape?
The whole conversation you referred to me, you're lying.
Are you going to play back the tape and then
we already did play back the tape. We already did play back.
We played back and then you admitted you were wrong.
Dirk.
This
isn't the gotcha. This isn't the gotcha you think it is, Dirk.
So explain to me how you know I'm lying.
It's pretty easy.
Go ahead, tell us.
Because as I've said, you don't know anything about what it is to be trans.
I think I do, being that I think you
don't. I think you don't, and I think you're not.
So you're saying I'm lying.
Yes.
What leads you to believe I'm lying?
I just explained. Do I need to explain it again? Are you listening?
Yes.
Are your ears open?
Said you don't know how to articulate
somebody who does not know anything about trans people and how trans people feel or think or what it means to be trans or how gender identity works or any of these things probably isn't that thing, because they're not actually experiencing those things, and their only beliefs on what those things are come from the rampant misinformation that they get when they look at like shit online, which is you, Dirk.
So just to summarize this conversation, if I meet a trans woman, I'm able to say,
holy shit, Dirk's fucking boring. God damn, is this dude boring?
That resembles, I like makeup. I didn't like playing sports growing up. I fit in with the other girls more. If they say anything along those lines,
Dirk,
I could say,
you said I like watching.
Dirk,
you said I like watching home renovation, so I must be a woman.
Yeah, and then I said I like makeup. I didn't like playing sports. All that stuff.
Dirk, what does watching home renovation have to do with being a woman?
It's an internal identity.
Dirk, answer the question that I
that with
Dirk,
women in society.
What does home renovation and watching it
Well, I
have
just
to deal
answered
with
that.
being a woman?
Because that's a attribute of women in my personal viewpoint. I associate
Based
that
on
with
what?
the gender woman. Based on the culture and society that I live in.
What culture do you live in?
Well, I live in the greatest country in the history of the world, known as the United States of America.
Okay, so in the United States of America, only women watch home renovation shows?
So this seems like you don't really understand what gender
Can you answer the
is,
question, Dirk?
kind of ironic.
Can you answer the question?
Can
you answer the question?
When you say
can you answer the
all
question?
women,
Holy shit! So he can't answer the question.
All women.
Dirk, can you answer the question? You said that based on the society I'm in, home renovation shows are a woman thing. So do all women in our society watch home renovation shows?
No, they don't. I don't know why you're saying that, but no, they don't.
Oh, okay.
Just like all women don't wear dresses and all men don't wear suits.
Great, that's what I thought. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm like teaching you what gender is, which is kind of ironic.
Who would have thought, Dirk?
Who would have thought? Do you disagree that watching home renovation shows is typically associated with as like a woman activity?
Yes. Yes, I would.
So you and I have different ideas of what gender is then. Isn't that interesting?
Well, that wouldn't be a gender. That wouldn't be a gender-based thing.
It wouldn't be a gender-based thing to say women like watching certain types of shows that men don't.
What show you watch is not a woman correlation with your gender. No.
Reality TV shows, you don't associate that with being a woman.
Men love reality TV shows. I don't know what you're talking about.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yes, the shows you watch on TV do not correlate with your gender.
With a gender. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the shows you watch on TV don't correlate with your gender, yes.
Okay, did I say they correlate with your gender in that it determines your gender?
Nope. Correlation and determination are two different things.
I'm just clarifying what you mean by correlate.
Correlation and determination are two different things. The TV you watch does not correlate with your gender. The TV you watch has no determination on your gender.
Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. If 90%...
I don't care about your hypothetical scenario. The shows you watch don't correlate with your gender, so I don't really give a shit about your hypothetical situation. You can.
I mean, you don't understand what gender is, which is ironic.
Define gender for me, Dirk.
Well, gender is kind of the sociological, cultural phenomena that are basically attributes that you can bucket into different categories. So men have certain attributes, women have other attributes that culturally. We use those attributes to say you are a man or you are a woman.
Okay, now Dirk, how is the show you watch an attribute?
Mm-hmm. So the show you watch shows your likes and interests, which is a attribute of the brain.
Great. So you think that it is the case that men and women, what they like helps determine whether or not they're men or women?
What they like is associated with man and woman, yes.
I'm asking if it helps determine whether they are men or women.
I mean, technically, yes, but in like a 0.00, like the weighting of that is very low.
Okay, so I asked you how you knew you were a woman, and you said specifically that I watch home renovation shows, which would mean that you're making a. I'm sorry. Was I done? Thank you.
Well, you're straw man.
I'm sorry. Was I done? I'm not. It's not straw manning to use the exact words you say.
Well, it's a straw man.
It's not a straw man to use the exact words you say. That's not
a straw man. If you're saying that was my whole argument.
It's not a straw man. I'm talking. I'm not saying it's your whole argument. I'm touching one point of your. I'm touching one point of your argument. Right? That's not a straw man to touch one point of your argument.
Okay, you acknowledge I said other things. Okay, go ahead.
It's not a straw man. I don't know if you know that.
Okay, go ahead.
So you said part of how I knew I was a woman is that I watch home renovation shows. So you're saying that part of the determination of what makes you a woman is the TV shows you like. You're claiming that this is a determinant factor.
Absolutely.
So the TV shows you like help determine whether you're a man or a woman.
Yeah, in combination with the fact that I like makeup and play with.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear was that you believe that the TV shows that you watch are part of a determination of what makes you a woman or a man. That's all I needed to hear. Like, please. It's always funny to watch bad faith people be like, how, but you're saying how prove to me that I'm bad faith. Okay. Go ahead, Dirk. Be whatever bad faith you want to be, sis. Yo, TV makes me trans. Hilarious. The other big issue is that Dirk doesn't understand gender versus gender expression. So trans women aren't going to say, I'm a woman because I like makeup and dresses and blah, blah, blah. They like makeup and dresses and blah, blah, blah because they are women. Those things are not determining traits. Because they are women, they want to engage in the parts of society that are typical to women and femininity. Not, I engage with these parts and so I'm a woman. Otherwise, drag queens wouldn't exist. Yeah, it's just sort of nonsense, right? It's just sort of nonsensical. Can we play games now? What time is it? When did I start? When did I go live? Two and a half hours ago. Trump likes makeup. Does that make Trump a woman? That's funny. Book recommendations about historical gender fashion. I don't know that I have any. Does anybody have any book recommendations about gender fashion? I can't honestly say I've read any. What game would we want to play? Bro, let's stop. The Sabrina person is not going to call in. The call-in lines have been... Oh, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open the call-in lines. Everyone that's not Sabrina, I'm going to hang the phone up on. Because we know they're not going to call in. If they call in, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah.
What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Name's Anthony.
Sorry, Anthony, we're holding the line for somebody else. Try again tomorrow. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, I am.
What's your name, age, and pronouns?
James, I'm 28 and I'm a male.
Apology. Shut the fuck up, James. Apologies. We're holding the line for somebody else. You're going to have to call in later. We're waiting on somebody else. I'm a male. Motherfuckers can't answer a question. Wow, Sabrina, look at that. Didn't call in one time. Who would have thunk except all of us listening to the stream right now? Who would have guessed? I guess we know fear runs in your family. No, some comment chirper on YouTube. Hello, are you here to debate?
Hello. I'm not Sabrina, but I am here to debate if you're down.
You gotta wait until we see if Sabrina actually shows up. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah, I'm Anthony. So is Sabrina getting on or not?
We're gonna find out, Anthony. We can't find out if you keep calling in. You gotta wait.
Okay, my bad.
Damn, y'all can't follow directions. Is this Sabrina? Let's find out.
Okay, Jovan, I'm
Oh, we found her. She's definitely not. I don't know when she's calling her, or I'm not seeing her number here, but now I have her number now, so let's just call her back. Fuck it. If you can't fuck it, chuck it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
You want to do this? Let's go. Because I'm old, and I know you'll love my southern accent. Let's get it on, Jovan, with your ears. You know what? I pay streamers, so they'll put those ears on Twitch.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Did you? Okay. What does that have to do with anything?
Y'all are just ridiculous. You live in a bubble, and you think in an echo chamber.
Wow.
You don't even look at other people and see what they're doing and see what's going on.
You think so?
MAGA is not everybody, Jovan. Get over yourself. Y'all can all get over yourself.
Did I say
how many hands did you hold
Sabrina,
of your friends that were dying of AIDS in the 80s?
Sabrina,
because I was there. You guys were not.
Respectfully, what the fuck does that have to do with anything we're talking about today?
It has very much to do with about all of y'all's nonsense.
Like what?
Because nobody gives a shit who you sleep with, who you identify with. Get about your lives. No one cares. The gender stuff, that's relatively new in the scheme of things. You know what gender is? It was Latin for sorting, and it was about noun agreement when we used male and female pronouns as part of grammar, Jovan.
Again,
that's how that works.
Again, Sabrina, respectfully, what the fuck does that have to do with anything on my board?
Have respect.
Not to people that don't respect me.
People that are uneducated and get on here, and you talk over people that are.
I called you. How am I afraid?
Well, then why are you saying that I'm afraid? Because I left 2 messages, and I want you to listen.
Sabrina, what time is it right now? What time is it? Sabrina, what time is it right now?
Jovan.
Sabrina, what time is it right now?
Why does that matter?
I'll explain why it matters. It's 12:50. You left me messages at 12:45. We've been on the phone for 5 minutes. So you hadn't called in, and then when you finally did call in, you left a message.
No, I called in
at 12:45.
There are 2 messages on there.
At 12:45.
I don't give a
at
shit. Look at your text.
12:45.
Look, no, you know what? I'm not arguing semantics side
That's
bullshit.
not semantics.
That's what you do, Jovan.
That's not
you want to argue
semantics.
about how many times I called in instead
You called
of
in
facts
at 12:45. You called in a minute before I called you back, Sabrina.
You want to talk about semantics
You
and
called
side
in
issues.
60 seconds before I called you
How
back.
many times I tried to get through?
It doesn't. It
It's
matters what
on
time
your
you tried to get through.
transcript.
It matters what time you tried to get through, which was a minute before I called you
I've been
back.
trying to call. Do you want me to
You have-
release my phone data to you to prove it?
Do you want me
Is
to
that
show?
what you need, Jovan?
Do you want me to show my
Because
screen
now
right now that
talking
your
about
phone
how
number
many
did not
times
call
I
in?
called in and you're off topic.
Do you want me to? Sabrina, you brought up the call
You're
shit.
off topic.
You brought this up, you
Jovan.
crackpot. Crackpot,
No,
you brought
I can
this
do
up.
this all day, sweetheart.
You brought this up. You brought this
I
up.
can do this all day.
You brought this
You want
up.
to talk about everything but the important things.
You brought this up, Sabrina. You brought this up.
Because you're lying.
Okay, so but
And you're
I didn't
lying
want
to your
to. I didn't
stream.
care to talk about it. You brought it up. So if you bring it up, I'm going to talk about it because you brought it up. If
Well,
you
what do
don't want to talk
what do you
about
wanna
it, don't
talk
bring it
about?
up.
Let's talk about. Well, wow. So now we're shouting.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, I kind of have to shout when people are children and don't stop talking. Yeah.
Or when people are children and wear cat ears that light up. Like I said, I usually pay streamers on Twitch for that type of antic.
I don't
So
care.
anyhow, what is it that you want to you want to talk about gender as a construct? Because y'all got that all screwed up.
Pick whatever topic you want to talk about. There's multiple.
I'd like to talk about gender as a construct because a lot of
Great.
these people think that society happened in a vacuum. And the whole point of the matter is that gender all came out of distribution and acquisition of food. And I take graduate, doctorate level courses about it. Sex roles and anthropological perspective.
I don't.
Because gender wasn't even a thing. Wait a minute.
Holy shit.
Gender was not even everything changed at the end of the 20th century.
Okay.
So you guys are.
You want to know the great? You want to know the greatest thing? You want to know the coolest part about sociology?
You grab onto words.
Sabrina, you want to know the coolest
and
part of
you want to
sociology?
argue words.
Sabrina, do you want to know the coolest part of sociology?
The concept is lost on you.
Sabrina, do you want to know the coolest part of sociology?
Yeah, I do want to hear it.
Great. The coolest part of sociology is it recognizes that like things change, like things in society change. The way we look at things
Hunting
in
and
society
gathering
change.
societies, not so much.
We're not a hunting and gathering society, Sabrina.
They still exist.
Are we currently
And
in
you're
a
an
hunting and
idiot
gathering
if
society,
you don't
Sabrina?
recognize that
Sabrina,
because
are
you
we
live
currently
in your own little bubble.
Sabrina, are we currently in a hunting and gathering society? Did you hunt and gather your dinner last night? Or did you go to Walmart and buy groceries?
Well, my relatives still do it, so there's that.
Or
You live
I'm
in
not
the
asking
South,
about
that's the
your
thing.
relatives,
I know
Sabrina.
that you just live off DoorDash.
Sabrina,
and
I'm asking
subscriber
I'm
dollars,
asking if
but
we're
yeah,
in
it's a thing.
Sabrina.
I know that's hard for you
Sabrina?
to believe.
Okay, so I think impulse control is something you're having difficulty with. So
No,
maybe in a conversation,
Not so much.
maybe in a conversation, you go back and forth, and then that's how you do it. So are you making the claim that the United States is a hunting and gathering society? Are you making that claim, Sabrina?
No, and that wasn't what we were discussing at all. We were talking about the construct of gender, and again, you are
brought
pulling it
up-
away from the original intent.
Sabrina,
Jovan, you cannot do this
Sabrina,
with me.
you
Jovan,
fucking crackpipe.
that's
You
not what
brought
was
up
being
hunting
said.
and Sabrina, you brought up hunting and gathering societies. You did it. You
I
did it.
and I said,
Okay, you fucking crackhead. So listen to me really quickly, Sabrina. I need you to just I need
So
you
now you're
Sabrina.
gonna call me a
Sabrina,
crackhead.
I
Are
need you to just
crackhead
very
phobic?
Sabrina, I need
what
you
are
to
you
just be
doing here?
very
So it's
Sabrina.
okay to call
Sabrina,
names to
holy
MAGA
fucking
people.
shit. Shut the fuck up. I need you to understand something here and you're muted right now. So I need you to understand something so severe right now. I can't hear you. Chat can't hear you. I'm going to repeat this for the second time this call. I can't hear you, Sabrina, and chat can't hear you right now. I see that you're talking. No one can hear you. So I'm going to say this again, and maybe it will get through your skull. If you don't want me to address something, don't bring it up. So if you don't want to talk about hunting and gathering societies, don't fucking bring up hunting and gathering societies. Because when you do, I'm going to address it. So maybe don't bring it up. Do we have some semblance of an understanding now, Sabrina? Now you can speak.
What do you want to say about hunting and gathering society?
You brought it up, Sabrina. I said that societies change.
No, Devon, you took it out of context.
Fucking crazy.
I literally said...
This is wild. This is absolutely insane. I muted you again because this is nuts. Here's how the conversation went. You said that gender is based on this thing from when we needed gender roles because we needed them to survive and for food distribution. I said the cool thing about sociology is that sociology recognizes change and societies change and the way they engage with things changes, to which you said, but hunting and gathering societies don't do this, to which I said, we're not a fucking hunting and gathering society. Are we, Sabrina?
And I said, some people still do hunt and gather.
I don't care if some people do something.
In this world,
Are we a hunting and gathering society, Sabrina? Yes or no?
You think you...
Motherfuck, dude. There's no fucking way, bro. Holy shit.
That is not correct.
Crazy, but because a perfect time for me to use the fucking soundboard. Holy shit.
The Bible.
Sabrina.
None of this shit is new.
Sabrina.
Y'all are just all over
yes
the
or
place.
no? Is America a hunting or gathering society? Yes or no?
That's not what the discussion was. That's not... That is not the point. Argument and grab on and the word choice. Come on.
Sabrina.
That's how you do.
Do societies... Holy shit.
Argument.
Holy shit.
You get one piece and you start working it because you know no matter how tightly it's nailed down, you can work it loose.
Sabrina,
and it's ridiculous.
Jesus
Christ.
That is
not what I meant, and you know it.
I recognize that you're upset that your grandkids don't call and visit, so this is what you have to do for entertainment.
I don't have grandkids. You know why? My daughter's gay.
Whoop-de-fucking-do. I'm going to ask you this question again, and maybe you'll be able to answer it this time, okay? Maybe you'll be able to
Maybe
answer
if you
it this
phrase
time.
it properly. You seem to have a lot of trouble with that. Make it germane, Jovan.
Do societies change and engage with concepts differently as those societies evolve?
Absolutely.
So has our society changed and evolved the way that we engage with things such as gender?
I would agree with that.
So then what the fuck is the issue with me saying that gender is no longer about a classification to determine food distribution?
That's not what I said. I said that's how gender roles were originally determined in society.
And we no longer do this anymore.
Said, but you don't listen because you're so busy trying to find something to pry up. And you cannot.
Holy shit, dude.
Because I don't care how much we progress. It's true. Facts are not manipulate facts.
Sabrina, I'm going to ask this again.
Jovan.
I'm going to ask this
again. Are your cat ears not working?
If we no longer engage with gender, and that wouldn't be all things that encompass gender, so roles, expressions, everything. If we no longer engage with this in the same way that we did when we were splitting people up for food distribution, then you have nothing to disagree with me about.
Listen, let me tell you, can we discuss this like adults? You accuse me of being childish, and I will totally admit to you that I yelled at you when I shouldn't have, and I'm a big enough person to apologize and to acknowledge it. And I would like to apologize for speaking over you. But the problem is that these things are not black and white, okay? That's not how any of this works.
Okay.
In those original hunting and gathering societies, the women provided the bulk of the food, not the men.
I never made a claim
and
who
hunted
provides
and provided protein, which was a very welcome thing. So it was more ceremonial.
I haven't made a single claim about
There were some men that were, due to whatever reason, okay? So let's just put that out there. It didn't make them less activities. So y'all get this from your viewpoint, and when I had my daughter, that didn't have anything to do with gender. Fisher Price, gender specific toys. She played baseball with boys, but that are responsible for seeing to the needs of their children. That's parental responsibility right there.
Okay. Sabrina, can you articulate what incorrections?
I can totally articulate. I think I've pretty much proved that I'm articulate.
Holy
stop,
shit.
Stop
That impulse
being
control.
Ugly. Because
That impulse
it does
control.
you no favors,
That impulse
Devon.
control does
You've
not work
got
for you,
someone
does
on
it?
here that can articulate.
That impulse control
and now you're
just-
going for the being ugly and condescending.
Impulse is just
and it's
right
not
over
a
your
good
head.
look on you.
Yeah. Impulse control is just impossible for you. I'm going to finish my sentence now. Okay. So can you articulate what I said that was incorrect about gender? Be very specific and just tell me what I said incorrectly about gender.
Would you repeat your statement, please?
I haven't made a statement this call. You came in and claimed that I had gender wrong and then went on a tirade. So I'm asking you if I have it wrong.
Oh, you want me to reflect on all the issues in the past that you've brought up? Oh, okay.
Do you believe?
Well, you seem to not understand the intricacies of it. You don't seem to understand how it is a phraseology that is tied up with sexuality, with your
sexuality.
Possession of XX or XY chromosomes. That we are, in fact, a society, a Western society that does a lot better when people can make sense of it. And sometimes people just use sorting devices, and that's what that is. It's not some conspiracy. That's how it's worked for, I'd say, thousands of don't want to fit in. Do your own thing. Go on, fly your freak flag, get it on, baby, do what you want. I might be way freakier than you are in the bedroom. You don't know what I get up to, but I also don't feel the need to share that. My husband likes those reality shows. We used to watch Rock of Love, Flavor of Love. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can you pick?
He loves that one with like the 4 wives too. So, I just think you guys love to come in here and go, Orange Man bad, cat ears good. That's how y'all do in here.
Sabrina,
Uh-huh.
can you just pick one specific thing that you disagree with me about, one specific thing, and don't be vague, just one thing you disagree with me about, and tell me what that one thing is. Just one.
Wow, there's just the left side of the menu, Jovan. I don't really know. Probably the gender thing really pisses me off more than anything, because it's so much more complex than you just want to distill it down into between your little cat ears.
Sabrina, you know? What do I think gender is? What is my definition of gender?
I don't really know, and I don't think you know either.
So then how can you explain that I don't know what I'm talking about with gender when you don't know what I think gender is?
Well, you think that gender is something that people can just say, I want to be this thing, I feel this way inside, and I'm going to express myself as this thing, and the rest of y'all just got to accept that. That's what I'm getting from you, Jaman.
Okay.
That's what I've understood your position to be, in all fairness.
Okay. So gender would be about the specific behaviors, attributes, whatever, that are typically displayed in any given society between males and females. What your gender identity is your relation to that on a subjective level. Now explain to me what I said just now that you would disagree with.
I really can't. But the thing that you want to do is argue with semantics and word choice. You sit here, you do it day in and day out.
There's no fucking way.
And the things that you just said are true, but they're not applicable.
There's no fucking way, bro.
There's theory, and then there's practice, Jovan, and you know that. We can't have some 6'4" guy saying, I'm a woman in a dress, going into bathrooms because he likes to creep on women and little girls.
There's no
okay,
way.
But
there's no way I'm gonna let her just spew the transphobia now. It's crazy. You gotta fucking be kidding me, dude. Hey, Sabrina, I'm just gonna ask you a question. Can you tell me what debates are?
What?
Can you tell me what a debate is?
Are you kidding me right now?
Nope. Am I kidding you?
It's an exchange of ideas. That's what that is.
Debates are arguments, Sabrina.
I'm sorry?
Debates are arguments. A conversation is just an exchange of ideas. Debates are very specific. They're arguments. You present an argument. I present an argument. We have a claim. We defend that claim, or we attack another person's claim. So my claim
was I was in forensics and in college. I know what you're talking about.
Dexter Morgan. Sorry.
I really wasn't. I really see that's what I'm saying. Debate. We got to have the Webster version of a debate here. Well, you really don't, because first of all, you don't have anybody in here keeping time.
Sabrina, there are differences between formal and informal debates. This isn't a formal debate. This is an informal debate.
Words. You use you weaponize words, Devon.
What the fuck are you talking about? My God. Holy motherfucking shit, dude.
Words are making me feel unsafe. Someone told me I was being mean in chat. For what?
Sabrina, I don't care
you can
about
have
what
ideas,
chat
but
said.
We can't.
Sabrina, I don't give a Sabrina.
It's mean.
I don't care about what the chat said. I don't care about what chat said. I don't care about what words you used in chat. You came in here.
I wish to God I could see chat right now.
God damn, bro.
Damn, bro.
You came in here.
I'm a woman.
You came in here.
By your terminology.
You
Get
came
it right,
in, Sabrina.
Jovan.
Sabrina.
Words matter, Jovan. Words matter. I am a. That goes, Jovan.
Okay. Can I talk now? Thanks. On my own show? Wow. Fucking wild concept.
What?
Okay. I'm just going to mute you. And whether you listen to me or not is up to you. Okay, it's not going to be up to me. So right now I can't hear you, chat can't hear you because I don't know. Maybe you just have a problem with listening when you have the ability to speak. So I'm going to speak, and whether you listen or ignore me, that's up to you. You came into this call under a predication that I had an incorrect view of gender. I defined for you what I believe gender to be, and I explained the correlation of it with when it comes to gender identity. When I asked you what you had to disagree with that on, you said, well, nothing. So you don't actually disagree with me. You're arguing for the sake of argument. Now, if you want to argue about something else, about whether trans women should be allowed in women's spaces, that's a different fucking conversation than does Jovan understand gender. That's a different conversation, not the one you brought up. If you want to have a different conversation, maybe, but I'm going to need you to have some level of impulse control. Otherwise, there's nothing to fucking have here. Now you can speak.
Well, consider me spanked, Jovan. My bad. Maybe the conversation should have been, you know what, you can't argue with Webster. Nobody's arguing with your definitions. I argue with your application of definitions, and maybe the conversation we should have had is pretenders in the woman's bathroom, because that's a big issue. It's a problem.
Show
Predators
me statistical
in the bathroom.
evidence.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Show me statistical evidence. Something with statistics. I assume, because you've said that you're an educated person, that you know what it means to have statistical significance when it comes to an amount of evidence. Show me a source that shows a statistically significant amount of evidence that shows that trans women are predators in the bathroom.
I just know in the state I live in, I carry. And
you're muted because I don't give a fuck about. I just know. I want statistically significant evidence. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear about your personal life. I don't want to hear about the state you live in. I don't want to hear a personal story. I don't want any of that. I want you made a claim that there are predators trying to get into the bathroom. So I want some level of evidence that shows statistic. Yeah, if you don't care about showing evidence, then goodbye. If you don't care about showing evidence, there's no reason to have a conversation with you. What the actual fuck was that? I apologize to anybody who might have struggled with addiction when I called her a crackhead. That was the old Jovan was seeping out, bro. Old Jovan was bubbling to the surface, dude. I was like, yo, don't accidentally slur right now. Old Jovan was bubbling up. That was not fucking culinary, bro. That was the worst person I've ever talked to. That was worse than any person nobody has ever made me that pissed off in a conversation. That was the worst person I have ever spoken to. Bar none. Bar none. I would rather talk to J-Man again. I'd rather talk to fucking who's the fucking weird Christian dude that said he liked 16-year-olds. I'd rather talk to that person again. I'd rather talk to fucking Rob. I would rather talk to Kona. I would rather talk to every person I've ever spoken to again in succession than have to deal with that fucking level of insanity. Can I get an apology alongside every other person named Sabrina? No. Some people, that's a kink for some people. The way I was saying Sabrina, for some people, that's a kink. Like, what the fuck, dude? Can we just take phones away from old people? Can we just take their phones away? I'd rather talk to Jordan Peterson. At least Jordan Peterson will make sometimes will make a fucking claim. What the fuck, bro? Now listen. The one thing, dude, that sets me off. I don't care if somebody interrupts me a bunch. Like, I don't really give a shit. I don't care if somebody insults me. I don't give a shit about that. The one thing that drives me batty is when someone doesn't understand A plus B. Like, it drives me so... You know that video, that old Vine, where the mom keeps asking the kid what's 9 times 10, and he keeps saying an answer, she gets real mad? That's me, bro. Like, I care so much more. Like, if you're going to come in here and say that I was wrong about something, you need to articulate what it was. And then be like, no, but actually I agree with you on this. Bishwe? Oh, it drives me fucking insane, dude. Just want it all to stop. Oh my God. By the way, these are straight gas. These right here, if y'all want peanut butter pretzels, these are gas. I had these and they're dookie. I'm getting rid of them because these are gas. Are you saying she can't articulate? No. Gas, bro. Bro, you just know the people at the old folks home hate to see Sabrina coming. I'm not sponsored, but if Reese's wants to show their commitment to the DEI, yo, sponsor me. You're right. These aren't gas. They're culinary. Walter said I won't answer. Fine. Next person that I talk to is going to be Walter. If your name's not Walter, I'm hanging up the phone. Very simple. Call-in line's open. Come on, Walter. Go ahead. Go ahead, Walter. Pick up the fucking phone, bro. I think I'm not. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, is this Walter?
No.
Nope, then you gotta wait. Yeah, is this Walter?
Yes, I have been dying to reach you.
Okay.
Yes, hi, Walter White. Yes, that's the dog picture because you said that you wanted to speak to that dog. And I prefer to just be called Miss White. That's how I identify. Proper pronoun.
Okay, Walter, you're talking all that shit. Go ahead.
Okay. This is where my issue comes in with some things that you say. And one of them is about men having babies, okay? So you said that I'm not a rage baiter. I'm not one to argue, yell, and scream. I'm not doing any of that. And I'm not going to disrespect you. Please don't do the same to me. That's all I ask so that we can have a conversation. Is that okay?
Sure.
So with that being said, if we're going by science, right? And you have a person that is born a woman or female, let's say female, because when the doctor gets you out of the womb, you have they identify you based on if you have, I don't want to get you demonetized or anything, a V or a P. Correct?
A vagina or a penis, yes.
Yes. So that's how you are identified. So when you're identified as a vagina, when you have a vagina, it says female on your birth certificate, correct?
Yes, because doctors make an educated guess based on your phenotype, yeah.
Not an educated guess, scientific test. You have to look it up in books because when you have a vagina, it is connected to a cervix, fallopian tubes, and an ovary.
Sometimes it is. Yep.
That is the female reproductive system. It's in every biology book known to man. When you grow up, that is your gender.
Okay.
It's female.
Miss White.
Wait. We're just talking gender. All we're talking is gender.
Miss White. What you're talking about right now is phenotypic sex and not gender. And because you're talking about phenotypic...
Yes,
okay,
we are.
I'm sorry.
Because there's a difference between gender and gender identity. And I
Great.
think that's
Can you
the
define
problem,
gender? Can you give me a definition of gender, please? Can you give me a definition of gender, please?
Gender is what you're either born male or female. As it says on your birth certificate, anyone who pulls out their birth certificate...
Miss White.
When you pull it says male or female. Wait, I think you need to let me finish my point. So
you've made your point.
Cut me off and
you've
try
made
to
your
spin
point.
something, or you're going to mute me.
No, you have made your point, but you didn't give me a definition of gender. You gave me an example.
Because
I want a definition.
Even if you say so, okay, phenotypic gender. Okay, it's phenotypic gender, but it's not gender identity. So it's separate. Two separate things. When you are born, considered a male on your birth certificate, you have a penis, which is connected to your testicles and everything else. Now, when a woman or female decides they're going to go through a transgender surgery and becomes a man, even if they do have the bottom surgery, if they keep their female reproductive organs, hence the ovary, hence the fallopian tube, hence the uterus, which is used to carry a baby. Therefore, a man is not having a baby. A trans man is having a baby because that is their gender identity. Gender is fluid. It's fluid for everyone. And I'm not being rude when I say this. It's fluid where you have girls who like to dress as boys, just like it's fluid where you have boys that like to dress as girls. But you come on here and you say, and I respect your opinion because everybody's allowed to have one, and you say things that are definitive that are not facts in their opinions. I just heard you say to someone, we're not hunters and gatherers anymore. Yeah, you are. You're hunting for views and you're gathering donations and super chats. You're saying a lot of facts, but you don't back up your facts because a lot of the things that you say are opinions. Now I'm done.
Great. I asked you for a definition of gender at 2:55. At time 2:55. It is now time 4:48. You said specifically, I don't care about like half the stuff you said. You said it's your male or your female. That is not a definition. Those would be examples.
Gender is a social constructive role, behavior, expected association with a man, woman, or other identified distinction of sex.
There we go.
It encompasses gender identity and when you ask the question, I'm giving you your answer. It encompasses gender identity and a individual's internal sense of gender, gender expression, and how one presents their gender in social gender. Gender is a complex aspect of social that can differ from one's sex assigned at birth with diverse identities, including non-binary, transgender, or cisgender. As I said, one's sex.
Yes, thank you.
Assigned at birth.
Thank you. What was the first sentence in that definition again?
I did. It is a it's a socially constructed roles, behaviors, and expectations.
Oh, but socially constructed.
Why am I not allowed to take the part that I want to take? Because what you do is take the first sentence, but when you actually look it up under Webster and the Oxford Dictionary, male sex or female sex with reference to social and constructive differences rather than biological ones.
Rather than biological ones. Crazy.
But that's what I just said.
No, you didn't. You said the gender is being male or female. This is
gender that you are assigned at birth is your biological gender.
Except both of the definitions you just read disagree with you.
Different.
Both of the definitions you just read distree with you.
It still says that your gender gender is a biological. If you just said phenotypical gender. So
I've never used the words phenotypical
being,
gender. I've said
yes,
phenotypic. Nope.
Yeah,
I've said
rewind.
nope. I've said phenotypic sex.
Did say correct me.
I have said
phenotypical gender.
I have said
You did say that.
I have said phenotypic sex because phenotypic sex is a biological.
So, but that's the sex you are born. So how is it that you're telling someone that a man can have a baby when that is not true?
Because man is a gender term, not a sex term.
A transgender man can have a baby because they still have a female reproductive system.
Okay, so
correct?
I can't believe we have to have this fucking. I can't believe we have to do this. Like, this is so crazy.
No, believe it. This is happening. Yes, believe it. This is
gender
happening. Someone who's
is
not
a
yelling,
gender.
Who's not being a MAGA. I'm not being one of those people.
Jesus
I'm saying
Christ.
to you.
No, what you're doing is you're not stopping talking. What you're currently doing is you're talking without taking a breath. So a conversation has to be back and forth, not just I speak and never listen. Okay?
But when someone says, I can't believe this is happening, you said that in the beginning we weren't going to be rude to each other.
I think it's pretty rude when you just continue to talk and don't let me speak. Just FYI.
Okay.
Great. So again, per the definitions you've read, gender is socially constructed. It is not the biological part of our beings. That would be sex. There's a reason we have a different word for it. Gender talks about the social and cultural aspects of attributes and behaviors that are typically shown and or displayed by the sexes. So it's saying, hey, when we look at societies and we see males engage in these behaviors, these traits, whatever you want to call them, we connect all of these things to encompass another category called men. And when we see females engage in these things, they connect in a way to another category called women. And those categories are not inherently tied to some biological trait. They're tied to these social and cultural things. Which is why somebody who's a female can be tied to the social and cultural norms that men engage with and vice versa. So when I say...
But a man cannot physically walk into a hospital and say, I am 8 months pregnant.
Great. So trans men would be men, meaning
that's where my issue
trans
is.
Men are men, meaning men can get pregnant. Because a trans man is a man.
Okay, so a trans man is a man. So what is a man that is born with a penis and testicles?
Well, since you just said it was a man, then that would also be a man.
So a man, so you're saying that a man who's born with a penis and testicles and no female reproductive system is considered a man, but a woman who becomes a man and still has a female reproductive system is called a man.
I'm saying a man would be considered a man because you prefaced that this person who has a penis and a vagina is a man. If they're not a man, then they wouldn't be.
Are saying, well, technically you're wrong in what you're saying because you have said in the past that someone is cisgendered. So wouldn't the person born with a penis be a cisgender male? And the one that still has their ovaries and uterus, that would be a trans man.
The term cis and the term trans are adjectives. All they do is they describe the noun. So when I put the word trans in front of the word man, I'm saying this is a man who happens to be trans. And when I put the word cis in front of the word man, I'm saying this is a man who happens to be cis. They are adjectives.
But if you are talking and you have someone on your phone who is not educated and does not understand what you are saying, because I'm not sure how old your listeners are. I'm not trying to, I don't know how old your listeners are. But if you're going to sit here and say a man can go into a hospital and have a baby, that kid's going to sure fail that biology test. That kid's screwed. And those people are going to listen to you and be like, men can have babies. Yeah, okay. When technically it's a trans man that's going to have a baby because they still have what is considered by Webster's Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, any encyclopedia, any biology book, they still have their female reproductive organs. That's why they're able to incubate and have a baby. Because
someone being male or
female
female does not necessarily equate to whether that person is a man or a woman, because male and female are sex terms, man and women are gender terms, and while gender and sex have a correlation, they are not the same thing.
If I go out and I have an expensive ass surgery to get my breast removed, to get a penile implant, and I go and I get that expensive ass surgery, it's like when you buy a laptop, you either talk about you have a laptop or a MacBook, and you're going to say you got a MacBook because you spent all that money. So if somebody goes out and they have that expensive ass surgery, because I know people who have had it because I work in the medical field, and it's not cheap. And if you're going through all these steps, taking hormones to change your body, to identify as you see yourself in the mirror, don't disrespect them and just call them a man. Call them a trans man. Don't disrespect them and just call them a woman. Call them a trans woman. Because guess what? That is technically what they are.
It is disrespectful to refer to a trans person
it is not
as
disrespectful because
it is disrespectful. It is disrespectful. It is disrespectful. It is disrespectful. It is disrespectful to refer to a trans person as trans if we are not specifically comparing or contrasting them to cis women. Just like if I was walking down the street, just like if I was walking down the street and I saw a black woman, it would be disrespectful for the very first thing I do to mention that she's a black woman instead of just talking about the fact that she's a woman. If the police are involved, they are comparing or contrasting you to another type of person. I'm talking about if we are not comparing or contrasting, it is disrespectful to refer to a person in any way that does not, at the very core of it, highlight their personhood first, and we can highlight their identities second. Because we are not comparing some trans women will say, I prefer to be called a trans woman. That's fine. They are not a monolith. So I'm not going to treat every person like those people, because trans people are not monoliths. So one trans person thinking one thing is not what all trans people think.
And that's not what I'm saying. I know that they're different. I know everyone is different. But what I'm saying to you is, when you are speaking, and you are saying, if you have people who are under the age of 18,
what are we doing?
Who are listening to
like, truthfully, what are we doing at this point?
And you are choosing to educate people on
like this, I'm going to have a fucking stroke.
Accepting of everything. Okay? You're educating people on being, I get it. The government's got their own little agenda with trans people, and I get it. Their own little agenda, and there's always going to be an agenda because there's an agenda with white, black. There's always some kind of agenda going on to keep us away from everything that's really happening in politics. All I'm saying to you is, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, run your channel, this is your thing. I'm saying to you is that you're saying a man can have a baby when that is not the case. Because a man, someone born as the sex of a man, cannot physically have a baby. Someone born under sex of male cannot have a baby. They cannot walk into a hospital and physically have a cesarean.
What is a male?
I said sex of male. Sex.
What is a male?
Sex of male. Someone who is identified by the sex of male on their birth certificate
cannot
walk into a hospital and have a baby.
What is a male? A male can't just be somebody who is male. What is a male? What makes someone a male?
Okay, I'm gonna need you to listen.
You're giving a circular. No, stop. You're giving a because I'm about to start being rude. You're giving a fucking circular answer, and it's so dumb. I said, "What's a male?" And you said, "Someone born a male." That's a circular answer. It doesn't tell me what a male is.
That's not what I said.
Yes.
Someone who is born with the sex of male.
Great. A male is a male. A male is a male. So if my doctor messes my birth certificate up and says that I'm a female now?
What doctor? Well, I don't know.
Okay, then shut the fuck up about birth certificates. What is a male? What is if I'm pretend I'm an alien? Sabrina, sorry, I see. I'm now all confused. Miss White, pretend I'm an alien. Pretend I'm an alien who has no idea how humans reproduce. What is a male? Explain it to me, who has never been to Earth, who has no idea how humans reproduce. What is a male?
Someone who can produce sperm out of their penis that they are born with.
Somebody who can produce sperm out of their penis that they are born with.
Yes, you ask how they reproduce. How do males reproduce? They have sex with a woman, and sperm comes out of their penis and enters the vagina, and it attaches onto the egg in the uterus. And if it fertilizes the egg that is in the uterus of the female reproductive system, it's going to produce an egg. That egg is then going to grow into a little human inside of a little sac, which is surrounded by amino fluid. And then what happens is, after that baby comes to term, either it's going to come out naturally, or in some cases, the doctors have to go in and get it. But in order to do that, you have to have a penis, and you have to have sperm. And you need testes that go with it, because the testes hold the sperm. Any more questions?
So, I never asked you half of that. So I guess we're just. I guess we're just in a fucking. I guess we're just in a fucking. I gave you your answer. Nope. I said pretend an alien doesn't know how humans reproduce, and tell me what a male is. I didn't ask you to tell me about pregnancy. I didn't ask you to tell me about amino fucking acids. I didn't ask you to tell me any of that shit. I said, tell me what a male is. That's what I asked you.
A male is someone that is born. It will say sex. Under sex on the birth certificate, it says M.
I'm sorry, what's a birth certificate?
So when they come out, wait, I'm not done. When they come out of come out and they're born.
Am I fucking in the Twilight Zone today? Am I in the goddamn Twilight Zone? Am I being fucking punked? Did one of you guys pay to have me punked? I swear to God, that must have happened.
Having intercourse, if you want me to explain that, I can. Then
I'm not listening to goddamn word you say. I'm going to see how long she talks for. Great.
You hate me right now, don't you?
I didn't listen to a fucking word you said because it had no fucking bearing on what I was asking you.
I know you didn't listen to a word I said because you can't take me, and I'm okay with that.
I tend to tune out stupid. I tend to tune out stupid.
I have nothing against you.
I have a lot against you.
Okay.
But I tend to tune out stupid. When I hear stupid, my brain just sort of like puts a mental block on it.
I get it. You probably know, I understand. No one has ever let you, release into them, so that can be hard to understand how reproduction doesn't happen.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'm explaining to you. Asked the question and I answered it.
Sure. I didn't ask you how reproduction works.
You asked me how does a male, if an alien came down, you wanted to know how a male reproduces.
Nope. I wanted to know what a male is. I don't care about reproduction. I wanted to know what a male is. Nope. I said, nope, it is. It is. I said, pretend I don't know about human reproduction.
Down to earth, and they asked me what a male is. I'm going to tell them that if you're looking at a birth certificate, this is under sex, this is...
You heard it here first, folks. Your birth certificate determines your sex. It's just about what's on your birth certificate. Doesn't matter shit else. As long as your birth certificate says male, you're a male. This is a level of fucking trans derangement syndrome that I need you fucking cisgender weirdos to get a fucking hold of. I'm also cisgender, but at least I'm not a cisgender weirdo. Y'all have trans derangement syndrome. This is the most unculinary stream ever. Bro. Even when I said to her, define gender, and both of her definitions specifically talk about how gender is a social construction rather than a biological one. And it just couldn't. And this is what I'm talking about. There are some people that I think are just too stupid to have these conversations with. Genuinely. Too stupid to have the conversations with. I wonder where she Googled her definition with. Oh, it was Wikipedia. This is what it was. This is literally what she said. Gender is the range of social, psychological, cultural, and behavioral aspects of being a man, a boy, woman, or a girl, or third gender. Although gender often corresponds to sex, a transgender person may identify with a gender other than their sex assigned at birth. Well, she literally read this and was like, see, you're wrong. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what I don't. Like, there's no way, dude. How can your definition agree with me and disagree with you, and then you say I'm wrong? Again, if your definition disagrees with you and agrees with me, how am I wrong? Make it make fucking sense, bro. Make it make fucking sense, dude. Hey, Brozarth, did I just mute and say I'm right? Or did I mute because the other person wouldn't stop talking? I think what happens is people get in. I don't even know if you're talking about this specifically, but if you are, I'm going to just say this like up front, and I hope everybody fucking hears me on this. You don't win a conversation by just talking endlessly. All you are doing is gish galloping. You make 1,000 points. Like, it's so stupid. I can't. YouTube is fucking dumb today. YouTube might be the dumbest I've seen YouTube in a long time. So, starting now, I'm just going to focus on Twitch comments. I'm not looking at the YouTube comments anymore because you guys are factually stupid as fuck. You're stupid. You're stupid as shit. Sorry. But YouTube, you've lost. You've lost Jovan time because this is just so dumb. I can't handle it. Oh, I dropped one of my pretzels. Yeah, YouTube's in timeout right now, Twitch. Bro, she really said, you are a hunter and gatherer because you're hunting for views. Fucking dumbass. I'm sorry. That was so stupid.
Thank you, Boo.
Stupid is as stupid does. All right. I'm going to Twitch. I'm out of YouTube. I'm going to go do anything other than listen to stupid people. Like, literally, I'm going to go do anything else than talk to stupid people right now. When someone says we do live in a hunting and gathering society, you hunt for views. Dumb as fuck. It's cool, YouTube. I'll be back tomorrow. But not today.
Thank you, Boo.